Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's start with give me a one-word idea from wherever you're paying attention. Your vibe on the news of the day. Like, what's the big story? What do you guys think is going on? What is it? Is it Nancy Guthrie? Like, why is that such a big... I don't understand. I still can't wrap my mind around why this is such a big story.
Fox literally covered it for 6 straight hours.
9 days. 9 days. Like, I'm sure there's another 84-year-old woman who has disappeared before. So what is it about this case? What's the story? What is it that you guys think is... What's the big news? Distraction with Guthrie. Yeah, I see you. Land of fraud, more arrests. Erica Kirk lied. What did she lie about? All right. Yeah, I'm getting tired of it. Like I don't mean to be disrespectful to the Guthrie family, but for the love of all that's holy, you know.
Yeah, when you have no new information and you're
why are you cutting in? Why are you still doing it? Let's bring in a retired FBI agent. What do you think? Well, I haven't been there, nor have I seen the evidence. I haven't spoken to anybody on the ground, but this is what I think. Like, why is that of any value?
Okay, thank you. Let's go to another FBI person who hostage negotiator.
Yeah. So what do you know about the blah, blah, blah? Well, like, look, any hostage negotiation, any ransom kidnapping situation that my years of loving NYPD Blue, like seriously, anybody who is even a moderate watcher of television crime dramas is like, look, what you don't want to do is make a big public fuss about it. You don't put your demands out to TMZ. You're on the DL. You're like, I don't want the cops involved. Nobody needs to know. This is between you and me. And that's when, of course, they blow in the cops and the cops are sitting there wiretapping and trying to connect the call, right? When it comes in, oh, we almost got it. Like, we've seen it before.
And going back to the house multiple times, like, really? Like, I don't know. My guess, I
don't know.
Family. This is someone that knows the family or is part of the family.
Right.
I don't know. I don't see the...
Tiedman, I'm with you. Talk about the missing children. How about some of this stuff that's coming out? How about some of that stuff that's coming out? Like, I was talking to Brock about this morning, and it's like some of the stuff that's coming out in the Epstein files, some of the video, some of the stuff that we're seeing, images, corroboration of... like literally things that my mind does not allow me to think about because it's just
gross.
It's once you cross over into that land. It's like how I always heard about heroin. Like you do it once and you're hooked. That was always the story. Like when I was a little girl and it was like Dare about drugs and they're like, you do that once and then you're an addict forever. Your life is over. And I was like, it was a great campaign, right? But that's how I feel about being knowledgeable about what's going on. Because I feel like once I know, I can't scrub it away. I can't believe that many people like children. Does that reason with you? Like honest to God, have any of you out there been like, how you doing? To a child.
Well, I don't think they'd admit it, but no, it's way more pervasive. I always said, go on and search Megan's List in your neighborhood.
It's everywhere. There's like 40 dudes.
You're like, what?
Across the street.
Yeah. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
I don't understand. Like,
you got to have some.
So what are they protecting? 2020 is huge. I mean, the theft of an election, the installation of a fake president, the stealing of a duly elected president.
And the global ramifications of it. They don't want you to know that. That's why they're not talking about it.
Then what happened? This global compact on migration. Everyone's like, yeah, absolutely willy-nilly. Let everybody go everywhere.
Speaking of compact, did you bring a new one?
No, I don't have one. Why?
I was just wondering.
Don't do that to a woman.
No, you broke it yesterday.
Yeah, but that's hurtful. It makes me believe that you're telling me that I need it.
I didn't say that.
I know, but I'm a woman and I interpret things that way.
Well, you heard something that was not said.
100% correct. I'm merely telling you this is the nuance of the male and female dance. It is what it is. I told you I'm emotionally unstable. Like, seriously, when we
all see that now.
When we look at all this, like, literally Brock and I talk about it because people are like, you guys should talk about Epstein more. And I'm like, how? What? We should read to you all of the stuff that's in there and have you draw your own conclusions about people. David Copperfield, seen in a bathrobe with Ghislaine, ostensibly on the island. What am I supposed to extrapolate from that? I don't know. It doesn't involve me. Right? Does that help your taxes? Right? Guthrie. God bless America.
Wow.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at me.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello, America. Greetings to all of you across the beautiful fruited plain. Welcome home to Common Sense Conservative Values. It is the Wendy Bell radio program. I'm Wendy. I'm a mom. I'm an American. I love police. I love our military. I used to like my neighbors until they became total whack jobs, right? I've seen in my Democrat blue hellscape of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, what happens when people stop paying attention. When they stop voting for anything other than what's always been. And then all of a sudden, by the time they finally realize they've made a big mistake, it's way too late. This is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. There is a fight out there for you to pay attention to anything other than what you should not be paying attention to. So what is that story? That's what we're going to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. WendyBellRadio.com is how you follow along. And I encourage you to. It is a risk, but we broadcast live on the internet all 3 hours of the show, including commercial breaks. Thank you for being here and welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, it's that under God thing that has me today. Under God. There is a real darkness in the force, my friends. If you don't feel the disturbance, I don't know where you've been. But there's an awful lot going on in the news to draw our attention away from what I think you and I believe in our soul is the true story in America right now. I've been watching peripherally some news here and there, and I have no idea why the disappearance of Savannah Guthrie's 84-year-old mom is occupying 24/7 news coverage now going on 9 days. I don't understand that. I feel horrible for the family. Nobody wants to see anybody grieve, be afraid, worry about the loved one's well-being. Where are they? But it's all fishy. The whole thing, soup to nuts, is fishy as stones. And this breathless attention to it, bringing in guest after guest. Nobody adds anything, and I don't understand. Isn't it peculiar in most kidnapping/ransom situations, at least that my rudimentary like NYPD Blue and Law and Order binge watching tells me about? Most kidnappers, ransom wanters don't really want the cops involved. They don't go out on a billboard or fly a big sign behind a blimp that says, I got your mom. I need 6 million in Bitcoin. It's so weird. All of it is weird. And the bummer of it all is I think we probably all are most concerned that that woman's already dead. How awful. How abjectly awful. You have that going on over here. I have no idea why it's such a big deal. I really don't, right? If my mom was missing, I'd have to call in favors to get people to pay attention to it, right? And then over on the other side, you've got all this stuff, Jeffrey Epstein. There's a reason that Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey have their boxers in a bunch over this. Has everybody been have they been investigated? Have these two cats who were calling for everybody else and we should believe all of the victims, right? Remember that? Remember when they told us that we needed to believe all women? Believe all women. That's when I made a video and I'm like, yo, this is a very dangerous moment in history. If we all need to believe all women, and I know a lot of women who suck, that is a very dangerous, dangerous precedent. Because any woman, and I'm a mom with 5 sons, that means any girl out there can claim my boy did anything to her, and we're all supposed to believe it. Make that make sense. It didn't. It didn't then. It doesn't now. And though we're supposed to be looking at this wild trench of documents, disgusting pictures and videos, some of which taking you to the precipice of that one nation under God part, where you're like, what God allows such darkness to continue? Are we supposed to be talking about that? Because there's nothing to be gained in that storyline. There are victims who, the longer this goes on, the longer they suffer. There are people who will get away with, quite frankly, murder. It is the way it is. How is that going to get legislated and litigated? I don't know. But I do know, out of all of this, what we're not talking about, 2 things. One is the greatest assault on you and on me and on this country and on our system, and that was the theft of the 2020 election. And if you're still on the fence about that, do yourself a favor and slap yourself in the face, because it's time you wake up. Think about that. And then the other one is the scourge of human trafficking. We have people in this country who want you to believe that a video put out on President Trump's Truth Social account was racist, right? Was somehow discriminatory. And yet we have real life human present day slaves in our country. And I fully believe there is a very dark and evil underground where they are moved, where they are sold, where they are abused. And you and I aren't supposed to be talking about it. And that's disgusting. I admit to you, it's hard to put together a show sometimes when you see things from 30,000 feet. And I'm no super sleuth. I'm no member of Mensa. I barely cracked 1,100 on the SAT back in 1988. And that was with a $1,000 counseling class. Didn't do much for me, right? I hate math. I write. That was always my flair. And yet I could see, as you can see, what is going on. The theatrical performance is no longer sticking. It's not convincing anymore because the tired old script hasn't been dusted off and maybe reevaluated in a good 50, 60 years. Think about what they do with our children as you and I are supposed to be fighting about whatever it is we fight about. There is a new tier of teachers, indoctrinated progressive white liberal chicks by and large, who are now cultivating and inculcating in the brains of mush of our public school students the clone trooper chip, so that they grow up groomed, propagandized, and active Of course, they can't read or write, but some things you have to sacrifice when you're progressive. All of this I see, and I would be lying to you if I told you. Sometimes it's a little overwhelming. So what is it? To me, it's good versus evil. And I'm not naive to think that some of the good people out there who I believe in might not be. But I'm going to tell you about my feelings for President Trump, a man I didn't really ever pay attention to until he came down that escalator with Melania. I didn't pay attention to his shows. I didn't read his books. I didn't know about his story. I'd never traveled to one of his hotels. But I listened to him. And there was something about him that was just real. How could a billionaire, so wealthy, so powerful, so connected, so dazzling in the world of publicity, seem so normal? He cares about this country. He knows he's the only one who can save it. But it involves you and me forcing the people who we need to remove from Congress to, before they do get removed, vote for what we need and do what we want. The entire apparatus of the Capitol is rotten. It needs to be imploded. The system has to be roto-rooted. Any semblance of the cancer has to be excised, and all of the tunnels have to be filled in. We need a new start. We need a fresh beginning. We need people who are beholden to the American flag and not to their own greed or their own insecurity or their own lust for something inherently in themselves that they are missing. We deserve it. We have been bankrolling a corrupt system that abuses us and then criticizes us for asking questions. And one day, and it better come soon, enough of us have to rise up and say, it ends now. When that day is, you tell me, won't you? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Democrats just showed us Virginia is doing exactly what Democrats plan to do if and when they regain control of the House of Representatives. Do not doubt me when I tell you this. The example and the freaking slap in the face to the Republicans who don't understand what we're saying. Nuke the filibuster. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I got such a phenomenal testimony from the Disc Institute because I'd said yesterday, I'm like, Dr. Rafferty said one of his staff is going to be sending me something. I haven't gotten it yet, but I did get this. Okay, so Dr. Rafferty, if you're new, he's in Pittsburgh. He's where we are. He's a chiropractor, but his specialty is regrowing degenerative discs in your back or your neck. And when these things deteriorate, slip out of position, it's extraordinarily painful, and it is so common. It is just one of the casualties of getting older. If you live long enough, chances are you're going to have problems with your back. Sucks, which is why you write down his phone number, which is 412-906-9600. Okay, so what he does is non-surgical. And it gives your body, I would imagine, the way I would see it, sort of like stretches you over time so that there's space for your discs to regenerate. Is that what happens? I have no earthly idea, but in my mind, that's what it is. So this person writes me, and this is Annette. Annette writes, hey, Wendy, I just arrived home from the Disc Institute, and I'm undergoing a complimentary follow-up session. 3 for 3. That's 3 visits per week for 3 weeks. I heard you say you needed more testimonials, so I thought I would tell you my positive experiences. I went through a full 10-week program about a year ago due to a compressed herniated disc in my L4, L5 region. I had an MRI before starting the program, and it showed the damage. For years, I've had intermittent, debilitating lower back pain. My doctor, who specializes in bone conditions, could offer me no real solution. I heard about Dr. Rafferty and the Disc Institute on your show, and I thought to myself, what do I have to lose? Bingo. Last spring, I was feeling great after completing the program. The stiffness, range of motion, all greatly improved. Fast forward, I had a hip replacement in June, which led to a fall this past October because of some movement issues, blah, blah, blah. Dr. Rafferty suggested I return for a previously mentioned follow-up. And she had a new MRI, market improvement. Discs are all doing better, blah, blah, blah. I feel as though I am concluding this. I'm going back on track, and I'm looking forward to the warmer weather so I can get back to doing what I love. I'm healed. Thank you very much, Annette. That was, of course, my paraphrasing because it's longer than that. Maybe I'll read it in more detail. 412-906-9600. PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. Because it works.
People are throwing money at you.
Why is that? You guys think I'm stripping, don't you?
Froggy.
Oh, Darius.
They should spend as much effort in finding children as they do for an 85-year-old woman in the media.
Oh, shucks.
Darius, $20 for Wendy's new compact powder thingamajigger for that lovely beach look. Froggy again. Don't look at the fraud. Look at the kidnapping. That's it.
Right? Thank you guys. You're so cute. I love you guys. I'd like you more if you who are not going to be passing the SAVE Act, right? You've got not John Thune. You've got, I'm drawing a blank, Rand Paul. You have a bunch of others, like 6 or 7, Murkowski, Collins, et cetera, et cetera. Tom Tillis, right, who's not running for re-election, will, as his, departing gift, give a skewer, a middle finger to the entire country and not vote for this thing. This is this is why I say we need to blow up the entire thing in Washington. Gone are the days of responsible, respectful discourse. Gone are the days of Republicans and Democrats working across the aisle and putting behind them whatever their political gripes are with each other for the good of America. At some point, there was this gentlemanly camaraderie of let's cooperate to get some stuff done, right? That's gone. And yet you have some of these rhinos who are like, well, I don't really think we should blow up the filibuster. I don't think that's a good idea. And I want to slap them all right across the face, right? And I want to be like, hey, honey, wake up, okay? Because here's what's going to happen the minute y'all lose in a midterm or a general election and Democrats retake the House. Watch and see what they did to Virginia. They just showed you in Virginia what they plan to do if they regain control. Listen to Fox News, Bill Hemmer tossed to a reporter with the mind-bending progressification, if you will, of Virginia.
So now from the Commonwealth of Virginia, Democrats moving forward with a plan to redraw that state's electoral map. This would give them 4 more seats the way the voting is now set up. Mike Emanuel's watching that story across the river from, across the Potomac in Washington, D.C. Hey, Mike, good morning.
Bill, good morning. The complaint from Virginia Republicans is new Governor Abigail Spanberger campaigned like a moderate but is governing from the far left. Spanberger is backing a plan from Democrats to redraw the congressional map, seeking to hold 10 out of Virginia's 11 congressional seats, while the current split is 6 Democrats, 5 Republicans. Texas Senator Ted Cruz reacting on X, a brazen abuse of power and an insult to democracy. 47% of Virginia voted Trump. They will now get just 9% of the seats. 52% of Virginia voters voted Harris. Now they get 91% of the seats. By comparison, in Texas, 56% voted Trump. GOP gets 79% of the seats.
All right, so how does that make sense to you, right? Instead of a 6-5 minority Republican representation in the House from Virginia, now with their gerrymandering and redistricting, it's going to be 10 Democrats to 1 Republican. Republican voters in the Commonwealth of Virginia are no longer going to be represented. This is exactly what they say they're going to do. They tell you they won't. You know you can't trust them. And because they do it anyway. This is the definition of insanity, right? We're going to continue trusting people who prove to us time and time again that they can't be trusted, and yet we're going to think that all of a sudden they're going to prove us wrong, right? Or right, as the case might be, and be trustworthy. Look, if I tell you I'm going to do something, if I give you my word on something, it's my word. It's not negotiable. These people have no morals. There is no code of conduct. It is only about survival. And they will do anything for it. Audio soundbite number 2. I want you to hear how the Virginia Senate Majority Leader, a black woman, describes the plan that she masterminded to go from a 6-5 Democrat majority to a 10-1 Democrat majority.
The Virginia Senate Majority Leader Louise Lucas, a driving force behind this effort, fired back at Cruz saying, quote, "You all started it and we bleeping finished it." House Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries is defending his party.
What you should continue to expect is that Democrats are going to fight for a fair national congressional map. Period.
Hakeem, do you think this is a game? Do you think the lives, the safety, the well-being of the American citizenry is a game? Honestly. You started it. We effing finished it. That's how you represent yourselves as leaders. As leaders of the Commonwealth of Virginia, you started it. We effing finished it. Hey, Republicans in the Senate, wake up. This is exactly what's going to come your way. And you're going to be like, well, we didn't think they were going to nuclear filibuster. Really? Audio soundbite number 3. Republicans are challenging the move that just a few years ago, Abigail Spanberger herself called detrimental to our democracy. Never, ever trust a liar.
Virginia Republican Congressman Rob Whitman, whose seat is being targeted, says, quote, "This extreme proposal rigs the game before a single vote is cast, weakens trust in our elections, and tears down the reforms Virginians enacted to prevent exactly this kind of political manipulation." Back in 2019, Spanberger had a different tone. Quote, "Gerrymandering is detrimental to our democracy, and it weakens the individual voices that form our electorates. Opposing gerrymandering should be a bipartisan priority. If the Democrats' plan survives legal challenges, the next step would be having Virginians vote on the proposal on April 21st. Bill?
What's great about that, if you don't believe your election system, you believe whatever tally that ends up with. I don't. This is a game to these people. But you know what? The game is they need to stay in power so you don't know their role in the 2020 election theft. And you don't know their role in the human trafficking, child sex trafficking networking in this country. That's the deal. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Pass the Save Act. Anna Paulina Luna with the ultimatum. Nancy Mace catching the quick little slip-in that would have been fatal to this bill. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Bloodflow7.com. I love my bloodflow7.com. I make sure I take it. I took it late yesterday, and I think seriously, when I went to the gym, I got my butt kicked because I didn't take it soon enough. Where is it? That's the Sucralow. Bloodflow7.com. I'm telling you what, it's all that and a bag of donuts. This is wonderful. I take 2 of these capsules in the morning at the same time, and I will tell you my suspicion and skepticism of this company, not the company, but the product. I was like, blood flow. Like, how do you monitor that? How do you prove or disprove? Yeah, my blood flow's improving. I feel great. Well, okay. So you take it for 3 days. All right. You're going to start to feel it day number 1. Day 3, you're going to be like, Shazam, I have to be with this forever. The nitric oxide, that is the key ingredient of bloodflow7.com, is all about opening up your blood vessels. So you do have more blood flow to all over your body. And it just makes such a huge difference. You'll notice it in your brain. You'll notice it in your strength and your stamina and your attitude. You don't hit the wall and crash in the afternoon like I need a nap. And then at night you fall asleep and you sleep like a boulder. I'm telling you, bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Brock is taking his. It is the Alpha Gold Male. It's the same thing, except it's for men, and it's specifically because of testosterone. Keenly aware of the different challenges that men have over women. We are different. It's amazing. I know the fact, but Ketanji Brown Jackson doesn't. So Alpha Gold Male, bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Wendy 30 is a 30% off discount, I believe, pretty much on everything. It's a great deal. Great deal. Brock, how are you, dear?
I'm good.
You are.
Apparently, there's issues on both Rumble and X.
Uh-oh. With just our show?
No.
Okay. So
just don't leave the show.
Yeah, don't leave your page and try to hop back in, because sometimes that can be a little tricky.
But X isn't showing anybody live. Like if I go to your page and click on you, it'll come up. But I'm not seeing any lives in my feed, which I typically do.
Huh. That is odd.
Like I didn't get an alert on X that you went live, which I typically do. But it's there because 133 of you are watching.
All right, I'm going to pimp it.
Uh-oh.
You guys, we are on Instagram and on TikTok, Wendy Bell Radio. Wendy Bell Radio, and we're doing really well. I think, what do we have on TikTok? I have a hard time, Brock, being able to see how many, let me see. So, shucks. You what?
I'm never on TikTok, so.
So we have 95,000 followers on TikTok. That's great. No, on Instagram. Almost 100,000 on Instagram. Wendy Bell Radio. Whoa.
136 followers, 36,000 followers on TikTok.
Nice. So that's all because of Toolsy. Hot dog. Thank you, Michael, if you're here. I appreciate it. My hair is really all over the place today. So I am going to call Dan Ireland, Brock. I'm just going to do it.
Another project.
I do. I can't understand why the ceiling fan in my kitchen won't work. And I need, oh no, do I not bring a rubber band? Yes, and beep, 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 beep. And I have one of my sconces downstairs in the basement doesn't work anymore. And it's not that old.
A sconce.
So, a sconce in where the pool table is. Would you say 1%er? People have.
I don't have sconces. I have lights.
You have sconces.
No, I don't.
Yes, you're just.
What's a sconce?
You tell me.
I know what a scone is.
Oh my God. Yes, because it's got carbohydrates.
So you're going to call Dan Ireland, and it's going to be 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
It is going to be 1-800-NEW-ROOF. IrelandContracting.com. And I'm going
he's
to be
the guy to call. He might be able to tell him to bring his dad so they can check out your window.
Here's the thing that's great. Here's the because I've got a leak in the house now. We've got frozen gutters, and so now I have a drip going on, and I'm like, that's fantastic, and it's clearly from a gutter. But I was going to call. Yeah, I'm going to call and have him come over and be like, hi. The great thing about Dan is that I trust him so much. I can literally give him the code to the garage door. Murphy won't bother him at all because he knows him. And he'll be able to do his work, and then he vacuums up, and then he leaves, and then he texts me what it costs. I'm like, okay. How's that? 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. I love him. All right.
You might as well just invite them all over for dinner, and then while they're there, have them.
Invite them all.
Hey, while you're here.
Invite them all over and be like, wait, before we pick up.
Let me turn on the ceiling fan. Oh, wait, Dan, it's not working. What could that be wrong? Let's all go look out the window. Hey, Gary,
Is this supposed to be leaking?
Is this supposed to be leaking?
Oh, that's funny. You're devilish. I love it.
Wow.
I love it. All right, what do we got going on here? Okay. We're going to talk about this voter ID stuff. They're just so sleazy and sneaky, right? It's probably a light switch you never used but was somehow flipped. No, it's not that. The light. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. Okay, so voter ID. Isn't it so remarkable that the conversations we're having are not even remotely complicated, right? It's majority stuff. It's 80-20, it's 85-15, it's 90-10. Right? Yes or no, you want criminal illegal aliens who are a threat to you and your family rounded up and deported, sent back to their homelands. Yes or no, right? That's not even, it's not even close. It's a 90-10 issue, right? Voter identification. Yes or no, you think people who register to vote should have to prove that they are an American citizen. Yes, I agree. And that you need voter photo ID in order to cast your ballot on election day. It's not even close. It's 85-15. And yet this is the hill that bad acting Democrats, think about Adam Schiff, think about Jamie Raskin, think about your favorite nincompoops on the left who are just dullards. These are not academic heavyweights. These are all lawyers who've never actually had a real job. But all they do is bloviate and you know, from blowhardia. And that's their job, is to try to convince you that what you believe, that's common sense that everybody else believes, right, is wrong somehow, and that we need to change things. And you're like, no. So let's talk about this voter ID thing. All right, so we're going to check out a poll. I'm going to read you this. All right? And it's going to make sense here in a second. So this one from Rasmussen Reports, okay? 75% support voter ID laws. You guys realize that like 51% in any poll is breaking news. When you can get a majority of people, even a hair's majority of people, to say something and agree to something, it's a big deal. You've got 3 out of 4 people in this poll, as the U.S. Senate considers legislation that would revamp America's election laws. Voters are still overwhelmingly support laws requiring that voters show identification before casting a ballot. A new Rasmussen Reports national telephone and online survey finds that 75% of likely U.S. voters believe voters should be required to show photo ID, such as a driver's license, before being allowed to vote. Only 21% are opposed to such a requirement. 36 states have enacted some form of voter ID law, but those laws would be nullified if the Senate approves this measure, which passed on House party line vote, blah, blah, blah. Now, you guys would be like, yeah, I've heard all of this. No, see, that's an article that Rasmussen posted on Wednesday, March 17th, 2021. Okay? That was 5 years ago. 75% of people 5 years ago. The number is now 83. And the Democrats want you to believe that that's racist. Support for voter ID laws has actually increased since 2018, when 67% of the voters said people should be required to show ID. All right, so 5 years ago, that was 3 out of 4. Now what do you have? You have about 4 out of 5, more than 4 out of 5 voters saying this isn't complicated, right? So I want you to hear what Anna Paulina Luna said. She's writing a letter to John Thune, Senate Majority Leader. She's like, bro, get off your duff. It's been hundreds of days since we moved with this legislation. It is not complicated. It is what everyone wants. So what in the bejabbers are you doing? Okay? What are you doing? Let me get this article for you. It's ridiculous. And just the letter itself is helpful. She says, look, this is what I sent. And this is to John Thune from Representative Anna Paulina Luna. Like, what is making you drag your feet, John? Why do you not want Americans, only Americans, people who can prove that we all can prove are Americans, voting in our elections unless you're part of the deep state that knows that it cannot win if that is the case. Leader Thune writes, Representative Luna, we're writing to make our position unmistakably clear. The United States Senate must invoke the standing filibuster and vote on the SAVE Act. It forces everybody to actually make a vote. The American people are not confused about what this bill does or why it matters. The Save America Act simply requires proof of United States citizenship to register and vote in federal elections. That is not extreme. It is not partisan. It is the most basic safeguard necessary to protect the integrity of our elections and restore public confidence in our democracy. For 300 plus days, she writes, this common sense legislation has been delayed by the Senate. The delay has consequences. Every day the Senate slow walks the SAVE Act is another day voters see a political class unwilling to do what the vast majority of Americans already support. That is why attention is now turned to the Senate's use of the filibuster and restoring accountability to that process. If senators wish to block a bill that protects the integrity of the ballot, they should be required to do so openly on the Senate floor and in real time. Show us your votes. Let us tar and feather you. The modern day silent filibuster allows legislation to die without debate, without explanation, and without accountability. That was never how the Senate was designed to function. A standing, talking filibuster does not eliminate debate. It demands it. She's saying, let the people speak. Let the representatives speak. You want to vote against it? Tell me why. Why? Force them to come out on the record instead of hiding in the shadows. If senators believe weak verification standards and loopholes in federal registration are acceptable, they should be willing to make that case directly to the American people. And she finishes, we have been clear from the outset. Election integrity is not optional, and it is not negotiable. When the Senate refuses to act, it forces the House to use every procedural tool available to compel action. That is not escalation for its own sake. It is leadership in the face of prolonged inaction. Wow. Now, thank goodness for Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace actually read the legislation and she's like, whoa, hit the brakes. We got something to fix here. And so she puts out on X yesterday, just in, we filed an amendment to the Save America Act to move the voter ID requirements up to cover elections on or after November 1st, 2027. We strongly support the Save America Act, but voter ID cannot wait until 2027. It included that the enactment date would be after the midterms. Who would agree to that? That is how sneaky this game in Washington is. Yes, we'll vote on this, but we're going to vote on it so that it is enacted after the midterms when, God willing, we can either cheat or steal enough to claw back control of the House. So she amends it. She says, look, page 31, beginning on line 4, strike held in 2027 or any succeeding year, and instead insert held on or after November 1, 2026. They were going to try to sneak in a provision that didn't require the SAVE Act to force people to show voter ID or photo ID at the midterms. Is that so gross? No, it's not. It's par for the course, and it's what they do. So I want you to, so Nancy Mace catching an error like that or a purposeful getcha, right? It's sort of like Brock this morning getting a picture from somebody in our viewing area from Pittsburgh. And I want to put it up because it's a tax document. It's the city's treasurer. And it's from the Allegheny County treasurer. And if you look at it, the return address misspells the word Pittsburgh and spells Pittsburgh, G-U-R-G. You guys, I mean, like, That isn't even close. Brock, we've seen some bastardizations of the word. That's your treasurer taking your money and not even proofreading.
That's an indictment of the American education system.
That is what you get in the city of Pittsburgh, where there are 33% of fourth graders who can read at grade level. And the numbers don't get better in the 8th grade. You know? And by the way, anybody out there who wants to allege that black voters somehow, or people of color, as they like to say, just can't seem to get the ID. Really? In 2022, Rasmussen put out a guide to election integrity, showing some numbers about black voters. 55% of black voters said there was cheating in the 2020 election. Right? 62% of all voters are concerned about the possibility of cheating, 60% of black voters included. 56% support immediate post-election bipartisan ballot audits. 54% of black voters agree with that. 58% say wider use of mail-in voting will lead to more cheating in elections, including 57% of black voters. Black voters know damn well what's going on, and they're tired of being used as the whipping boy. Right? This woman, she's fantastic. Her name, she's a mom of 5, a 5-year-old child. And she drops the cold, ugly facts on this whole voter ID debate, which isn't.
If my 5-year-old needs a birth certificate in order to attend free public school to prove his identity, then you need a birth certificate to prove your citizenship in order to vote. If my 5-year-old needs a birth certificate to prove his identity in order to play t-ball or Pop Warner football or many other extracurricular activities, then you need to present your birth certificate in order to prove your citizenship in order to vote. The fact that children need to show birth certificates in order to be enrolled in school, in order to participate in extracurricular activities, and in some cases to even go to a certain doctor or to go to certain summer camps, then you bet your ass that you need to prove your citizenship to vote in our elections. And for anybody that wants to say, well, this is going to disenfranchise people, how? How? If you were married or divorced, or there was any sort of name change, there is a paper trail that follows. Either a marriage certificate that proves your name change or a divorce decree to also prove a potential name change. And both of those presented in conjunction with your birth certificate can get you a real ID or a passport. Yeah, but it's an amendment. Everybody has the right to do that and shouldn't have to jump through a bunch of hoops. Tell that to the people who own the 500 million firearms within this country, and the fact that most of us can't walk into a store and leave with a firearm that we purchased that day.
And that's so true. I love all of the nuance you get when you go onto your social media feed. Did you guys see what they try to do? What Chris Van Hollen, the senator from, where is he? Connecticut?
He's a Maryland man.
He's a Maryland man. Did you hear how he tried to skewer Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and make him sound like he was with Jeffrey Epstein on his island? Right? Oh my, this really ridiculous smokescreen. Let's not fall for it. I'll tell you why next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. It's ridiculous. Brock and I were just reading about some of these attempts to take down. Why would you want to take down Howard Lutnick? Because the economy's doing well, because one of the things you want to do is for things to be terrible. So you can blame it on Trump, blame it on the administration, make that sound like, you'd be better, even though everybody knows you suck. I don't know. It's baffling. It's totally baffling. It is not baffling how Healthy Cell gets its nutrients into your bloodstream. I think that's the whole ingenuity of a formula or of a company that puts its supplements in little pouches. Easy to take with you, easy to put in your purse, in your briefcase, whatever, in your lunchbox, what have you. And you just peel, squeeze it in, and that's your supplements. And it's a microgel of various flavors. This Immune Super Boost is blackberry. And these are things that, they're using natural ingredients, things that we know, adaptogens and other nutraceuticals and whatnot that occur in the world out there and not in a lab with Pfizer at the helm, right? Taking it in a microgel makes it so much easier for your body to absorb. And so you're actually getting your money's worth. You're not popping a pill that you end up later not being able to digest. You get it. It goes right into your bloodstream and down to the cells. That's why it's called Healthy Cell. HealthyCell.com/Wendy. I'm just going to say they're still my favorite and they will always be my favorite. And it's the REM sleep. If you have trouble sleeping and staying asleep and you hate waking up and feeling like somebody hit you with a truck, try the REM sleep formula, healthycell.com/Wendy. The other one is the one I take, which is Focus and Recall. And I absolutely can feel the focus in about 30 minutes after I take the microgel. It's worth it. 100%. And there's actually like a little bundle that you can get. If you scroll up the page, you'll see it says AM, PM, so Focus and Recall and REM sleep. And they give you a little bit of a discount. But there's a discount for your first order. So worthwhile. HealthyCell.com/Wendy. I think you guys will love them. I got my Crescent Mountain coffee. I have to pause my Crescent Mountain coffee subscription. I have 5 or 6 new bags, and they're loading up on me. This new schedule, I'm not making as much coffee as I used to, but I'm telling you what, when we walk in and we see what the mud is that the dude has made before us, and I'm like, I don't mean to be rude, but I dump it out and make Crescent Mountain coffee. CrescentMountainCoffee.com. Wendy Bell Radio Coffee. It's the best coffee you'll have, I'm telling you. I even noticed it because I have a little hot plate thing to keep my cup warm. One of you guys sent it to me, and I love it. But even if I let it sit there for like an hour and a half and there's only a little bit left, it's not burned tasting. It still tastes good at the bottom of the cup till the last drop. Is that a copyright infringement?
I don't think they're paying attention.
This is so dangerous what these people are trying to do with the Epstein case. It's so dangerous. And it's to believe all women, essentially. Believe any name in here that we don't like. We're going to weaponize that name and we're going to go after you. It's pathological.
Once again, it's never been about the victims.
I always thought little girls were the manipulative little witches because I was one. Well, I was part of a group that was like that. But it's not. It's men too. It's pathological. I don't know what the hell's wrong with people. Go for a walk. Get a sandwich. Do something other than trying to ruin someone's life. What'd you do today, honey? Well, I destroyed somebody's life. Aww. Meatloaf? Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. This Epstein stuff has me edgy. Has the whole time. You know, to watch grown adults go after people with nothing more than a mention of a name in an email or supposition or political revenge in mind. There are a number of disgusting reasons why somebody in politics would go after somebody else. Oh my gosh, they're on the Epstein list. Well, there are a lot of reasons why people mingled with Jeffrey Epstein. Not everybody was banging little kids or young women or whatever the hell they were doing. There were legitimate things going on, at least to a lot of people in their worlds, they thought. But I find it particularly interesting how CBS News has knives out for Howard Lutnick. Something's going to be going on with the Commerce Department, something big. I think the financial success, stock market hitting 50,000. I mean, this morning it was up to 350. Like this is crazy stuff. And if the stock market's doing well 6 to 12 months from now, we're going to be doing better. Is this an attempt to derail, to knock off part of his administration? I don't know. But Howard Lutnick is really in the crosshairs of the deep state. This is the headline at CBS News. Lutnick and Epstein were in business together. Epstein files show. Now, when you hear that, what do you think? You're like, these two guys shared an office, right? They're in business together. They share expenses. They have employees. They have to pay bills. They have to corroborate things. They have to deal with each other, right? No, not even remotely. That's not even close to it. But don't let that get in the way of us impacting how you feel about somebody simply by the headline. Here's the story, again, CBS News of Suck. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has said he had limited interactions with Jeffrey Epstein, but documents show they were in business together as recently as 2014. Lutnick and Epstein each signed on behalf of limited liability companies that agreed on December 28th, 2012, to acquire stakes in a now shuttered advertising technology company called Adfin. Documents released among the so-called Epstein files show. Epstein and Lutnick's signatures appear on neighboring pages in the contract. Ooh. With Epstein signing for his Southern Trust Company Incorporated and Lutnick for a limited liability company called CVAH1. The documents list 9 shareholders in total. So that sounds, wow, of business together. It's kind of interesting. I thought he didn't know him, didn't really have anything to do with him. Well, let's keep reading. Lutnick, the former chairman of the financial services firm, Cantor Fitzgerald, who at one point lived next door to Epstein, told the New York Post in October that he and his wife Allison had cut ties with Epstein in 2005, deciding after taking a tour of Epstein's New York townhouse, quote, "I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again. However, it appears Epstein and Lutnick continue to maintain contact, and emails show they arranged calls and planned to have drinks in 2011. Okay, so the following year, the couple and their 4 children planned a visit to Epstein's Island, Little St. James, emails show. Lutnick was invited for lunch on December 24th, 2012, and later Epstein's assistant wrote on behalf of Epstein, "It was nice seeing you." Their Adfin deal was signed 4 days later. This is interesting, though. 5th paragraph. A source close to Lutnick told CBS News, Cantor Fitzgerald was a small minority investor in Adfin. At the time of doing the deal, as a minority investor, Mr. Lutnick would have no knowledge of who the investors were. He would have no idea that Jeffrey Epstein was another investor. 11 days after that, on January 8th, 2013, Epstein had his assistant forward Lutnick a document related to casino legislation in the U.S. Virgin Islands, where Epstein had his island and a variety of business dealings. A spokesperson said Lutnick ignored the document sent to him. So at some point, these 2 men, many, many years after their meeting, who both have things to deal with gambling and what have you in the Virgin Islands, Lutnick and his family, 4 kids, wife, nanny, and another family, kids, nanny, wife, the whole kit and caboodle, are on a ship or on a boat. And they decide, yes, we'll come to your island and we'll have lunch with you. They had lunch, they got on the boat, and off they went. Howard Lutnick just testified before Congress in that regard. This CBS News story makes you believe that Howard Lutnick and Jeffrey Epstein were fast friends and that he was a frequent visitor, that they were business partners, in fact. So don't try to disassociate yourself from him. And now Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna are saying, obviously, Howard Lutnick is compromised. He must resign or be removed from office. That is a very dangerous precedent to set. That if we can go back in hindsight with no knowledge of any specificity, and obviously with just the left-wing media giving us the details that benefit their side, that we should then tar and feather and excommunicate and brand those who happen to oscillate in Jeffrey Epstein's circles with a scarlet letter. But let's not talk about the human trafficking, right? Follow? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program. Bad Bunny says it was all wholesome and uniting, right? That was supposed to be. Did you guys catch the lyrics of that halftime show? Oh my. Hi, Brendan Carr. Next. It is very disingenuous the way these articles are written. Yesterday, CNBC had a story that I cannot find. It's been memory hold. It vaporized. And it was an extraordinarily disingenuous and unfair accounting in the first couple paragraphs of allegation, innuendo, hearsay, and what have you. And then below the fold, well, Letnick says that he didn't do that. And in fact, they didn't know each other. And no, that's not how it happened. But don't let us get that in the way of your original impression. And that's what it is. It's propaganda. It's propaganda. Do I believe Howard Lutnick was on that island with his wife and children banging girls? Of course not. You guys gotten that vibe out of Howard Lutnick at all? Of course not. That we're even having this conversation is a smokescreen away from human trafficking. Oh, look, here's an update on Nancy Guthrie. I just don't get it. Anybody? Bueller? All right, I'm going to tell you about my delicious drink. I know a lot of you guys have already gotten it. I encourage you to. There are some very affordable things that I think are delicious and that work, right? I tell you about Healthy Cell because it works. I tell you about Dr. Gundry's MCT Wellness, the healthy fat drink, because it's delicious and it does exactly what it says it's going to do. It absolutely kills your cravings, kills your hunger for about 5 hours, and is a fantastic meal substitute. Plus, its ingredients are such that Dr. Gundry says he was able to drink it every day and lose over time 70 pounds. Now, it might have taken him 6 months to do it. I don't care if it took a year. 70 pounds is a powerful amount of weight. And Dr. Gundry was like, why are you taking all sorts of medicines when you can eat more reasonably, get out and start walking a little bit more and simply drink my drink? Because it works. And a lot of people have tried it. And I've got wonderful emails from people who were like, look, I was right. I couldn't budge the scale. And then I started drinking the healthy fat. Thank you so much. I'm now down 15 pounds and 2 belt loops. That's triumphant. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. That's how you get to it. Oh, geez.
I told you.
Every day. I drink it every day. And it's meaningful and it's delicious, right? Even if it did nothing, I'd be like, I prefer that flavor than just plain old water. Give it to me. Yeah, it's just refreshing. Let's see. Okay, not saying, I'm getting a lot of voter junk. Are you getting a bunch of text messages? I am.
Yes. See, I said to you this morning is you have to wonder. So Howard Lutnick comes out and Toolsy just texted. And this is what I responded to him with too. All the people in Epstein's orbit, within days, Lutnick's in front of him, in front of Congress. Nobody else. Everybody else it's lawyers involved. It's months ahead of
slow
time.
walking, the Clintons needing to be threatened with a congressional
And I'm not defending
subpoena.
Howard Lutnick. I don't know who he is. But it's BS that CBS is writing a story. Did they talk about Chuck Schumer and all the money?
How much money
He took
Jeffrey Epstein gave
and had
him?
meals with?
Right. I mean, if you're going to do it, let's do it.
Yeah, let's
go all the way. Right.
Day after day. Let's just start lining them up.
David Copperfield, what are you doing wearing a bathrobe?
Stacey Plaskett.
Stacey Plaskett, why are you texting him and visiting him on his island?
And why are you changing your name and using pseudonyms?
No, because Joe Biden did.
It's
bizarre.
Listen, if you're a pedophile, no love lost here.
It's just disappointing. This whole thing.
These guys do business with tons of. When you have money like that,
I just think no matter who you are, what side you're in, it's intended to be a wild goose chase. It's a wild goose chase and a witch hunt with very real scarlet letter consequences. Right? We're not talking like Reid Hoffman and Prince Andrew. Where is all of the reality about Bill Clinton? Would you just be so disgusted?
And Hillary.
Would you just be so disgusted if that's your guy? right? It's like, well, we should probably hear what you did. Why is the Commerce Secretary able to sit there and testify and answer your questions? And yet you need to stonewall and slow walk and delay the entire process, banking on the deep state bailing you out. But the Democrats were like, yeah, you're not really worth it anymore. You're more damage and baggage than you are anything. Doesn't stop the trafficking.
Like I said, not defending Howard Lutnick, but calling out the media for the double standard. The media is like Michael Wolff, who worked with Epstein to try to get Trump. Like, why isn't this guy testifying? It just, I don't know. What don't they want you talking about? Exactly what we're not talking about. The fraud, the waste, all this stuff, the SAVE Act. All this stuff takes a back seat. They don't want you talking about Virginia, so Virginia voters don't know to vote no to 10-1. 46% of us voted for Trump.
Isn't there some block pool we could do about Bill and Hill? Isn't there something we can do?
Bill's going to be interesting because Hillary can always say, I plead the fifth. Bill can't.
Mm-hmm. I can thank Democrats for that.
Four, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family.
We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with healthcare and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. I wanted to talk a little bit about this Bad Bunny presentation at the Super Bowl. I'm getting a lot of contradictory messages here about who did better, the Super Bowl. Well, he got 137 million people paying attention, but were they paying attention to the game, or were they paying attention to Bad Bunny and the performance? Then you got other people on the other side with Turning Point USA saying, oh my gosh, this alternative all-American, other program online on Rumble and YouTube, it broke the internet. Nothing's ever gotten more views ever. So which side is it? I'm just going to say, look, no matter how you fall on that, it was a bad look. It's a bad look. It's a bad look for Roger Goodell, for Jay-Z and his production company. They got a 5-year, $25 million contract that I think is getting extended, where there's not been one white performer, swear to God, right? One white person. And should that be some signal of racism? Oh, well, we're trying to be more inclusive in all of the venues where we're playing the games. And so we're going to be culturally sensitive to that area. What was culturally sensitive about a Puerto Rican guy singing in Northern California, right, at the Super Bowl? I don't know. I don't know, but I do know that what he was saying was not fit for any of us. And I'm not a prude. But that wasn't wholesome, Roger Goodell. There was no uniting message. There was no kumbaya. This is what we're all about. We're all in this together. High School Musical. That's not what it was. It was rancid. It was perverted. It was filled with F-bombs and sexual innuendo. Not even innuendo, sex in your face. Dudes grinding together on the gridiron. Like, I'm sorry. And it wasn't a performance for the fans. if you go to that game, and some of those tickets are what, $5,000 each? Don't you think that should give you one of the neatest halftime performances made for you and your enjoyment and ridiculous cost of admission? It wasn't even for the fans. It was to make a music video. It was for television. And millions of people who speak the language knew exactly what was being said. Now, I cannot confirm nor deny that these were the lyrics, but this woman here who goes by, her name is Brittany Hughes, she has a little message for you because she says, filth spewed in any language is still filth.
So Bad Bunny finally performed the Super Bowl halftime show on Sunday, and apparently we're all supposed to hand out brownie points because it wasn't as visually offensive as it could have been, because he didn't show up in drag wearing prosthetic boobs, so the bar was set in hell. But the whole show was still entirely in Spanish, so most of the audience couldn't actually understand it. The Washington Post tells us it was full of wholesome family values. Others lectured Christians on how we should be celebrating it because Jesus loves people who speak all kinds of languages. But the problem with rocking out to a song sung in a language that you don't understand is that you don't understand it. Allow me to help you out. Here are some of the lyrics that Bad Bunny performed at the Super Bowl halftime show, translated for your convenience. Ready for this? Bet you're not. I'm gonna take them all to the VIP. Say hello to Auntie. Let's take a selfie, say cheese, let the ones I already smile. A Dominican who is a fresh hottie, fresh hottie. The one from Barcelona that came by plane and says that my dick is fire. My dick is being chased and I want you to hide it. Grab it like a bonga. She took a pill that made her horny. She f***s in the Audi, not in the Honda. That's what was being performed in front of more than 150 million people at the nation's largest sporting event by a cross-dressing rapper who we're supposed to believe Jesus would have been applauding because he spews his filth in something other than English. But see, here's the thing about diversity. It's not wonderful for its own sake. Beauty and humanity come in all kinds of diverse forms, but so does the contents of my garbage can, which frankly is exactly where this halftime show belongs, even if you couldn't understand why.
And ladies and gentlemen, the Emmy Award goes to Brittany Hughes for that glorious takedown. Look, I started getting some hits on my social media yesterday. I'm sure you were too. People were like, do you guys even know what was being said? I'm like, no, I don't know what was being said. Like what did I take? 6 years of Spanish. My kids have taken like 10. That's not the Spanish we know, right? Well, Bad Bunny's lyrics of all the musical acts they picked to play at the halftime show. Let's see what I could. My blank is being chased and I want you to hide it. She just said that. Come on down to my house. I'll lick it all up. Miami, I'll lick it all up. Come on down to my house. I'll wear you out. I'll wear you out. Come on down. I mean, literally. And then F-ity. F. She seems like she Fs and Fs. Erect, super horny. Like, honestly. Now, all of the women out there, the liberal women out there who were like, I just loved the culture of it. It was so moving. My daughters were dancing to the beat. They didn't even have to know what was being said. They felt the power of the music. It was fabulous. And you're like, did you realize that he just said the F word in one song like 17 times? What? No word on that reality from any of these outlets who are telling you, did you see that 137 million people watched the Super Bowl? It's a new all-time record. Really? Why aren't you talking about the words that were said? Because I'm offended by that, and I'm not the only one. In some in the GOP, including the Representative Randy Fine, well, he would like the FCC to investigate because you know what? There are some things you're not allowed to say on live television. I'm going to say a lot of what he said you're not supposed to say, namely the F word. At least one GOP lawmaker is calling on the Federal Communications Commission to take action after Bad Bunny's shocking and vulgar halftime lyrics were translated from Spanish to English. As the Gateway pundit reported Sunday night, Hispanic entertainer, yada, yada, did this and that. This was infuriating to millions of Americans. Turning Point USA did the other thing. Then it goes through some of the lyrics, right? Congressman Randy Fine of Florida called on the FCC to take action, including fines and broadcast license reviews against the NFL, NBC, and Bad Bunny himself. Representative Fine's statement says, plainly, You can't say the F word on TV. Bad Bunny's disgusting halftime show was illegal. He said those lyrics. Had he said those lyrics and all the other disgusting and pornographic filth in English on live TV, the broadcast would have been pulled down and the fines would have been enormous. Puerto Ricans are Americans and we all live by the same rules. We're sending Brendan Carr from the FCC a letter calling for dramatic action, including fines and broadcast license reviews against the NFL, NBC, and Bad Bunny. Do you think all the dads out there who watch their daughters shaking their butts like the gals on stage, doing whatever the heck that jazz is, do you think they have any clue what was being said in those lyrics? Do you think those fathers would enjoy their daughters sang those words, repeating those lines at home? Hell no. Hell no. Roger Goodell, where are you on that? Hey, mainstream media, why aren't you covering that? Newsweek did a beautiful story on how it was the most watched Super Bowl ever. But there was no mention of the vile and disgusting language that more than a few of us are offended by. Well, it's curious because the performer himself has apparently wiped his Instagram account. Bad Bunny, according to Breitbart.com, wipes Instagram account after Super Bowl performance. He appears to have deleted all of his Instagram posts after the Super Bowl show. And it's a big deal, right? The Mi Porto Bonito singer's Instagram account posting 52.6 million followers shows no profile image, 0 posts, and 0 people that he's following at the time of this writing. While the reason for this remains unclear, his removed Instagram content comes after the inclusion of that program, which obviously took to social media to bash the NFL, that resulted in fans doing that. For the song that featured what it featured. So exactly what's going on here, ladies and gentlemen? Apparently, I found something that said the ratings were no bueno, right? I don't know what it is. It says panic, preliminary ratings show viewership for Bad Bunny halftime performance tanked 39% from last year. Benny Johnson tells us that. I don't know if that's true. Jimmy Kimmel, however, thought it was kind of interesting, and I'm no Jimmy Kimmel fan, but even he could see how liberals gushed over something because Bad Bunny is anti-Trump. Listen.
This week, almost every liberal I know suddenly really into Bad Bunny. I mean, people I've never heard say the words bad or bunny in their lives. Like, I can't wait for Bad Bunny. Oh, what's your favorite Bad Bunny song? I don't know, but I love him. I love Bad Bunny. Here's the thing on me. Did I know any of the songs Bad Bunny was singing? Absolutely not. Never heard even 1 second of one of them. Did I understand any of what he was singing? Yes, the word nunca. That was it.
So that's all you get. The word never. That's all you get. It was a bad decision, and Roger Goodell likely should be replaced. Okay? You're out of touch with the players. You're out of touch with the fans. You're out of touch with reality, Roger. I have no idea why you make so many millions and continue to fail. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, so you guys remember that Fulton County FBI raid of the election offices there? 700 boxes of ballots from 2020. Why isn't that what they delivered or let the FBI take, though? Little discrepancy in the numeros. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Kelly reminds me of the tests that we had to take. He's right. After Nipplegate and Janet Jackson, apparently you saw her nipple on the
with Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, I don't remember it. I never saw it.
I didn't either.
I mean, I tried to slow it down and still couldn't see it.
Oh, that's funny. That's like my son Bobby.
Hey,
He's like, I like the butts. Okay.
I had someone tell me that I need to be better. their teenage daughters thought it was very American.
Oh, it's very American.
I said, so then I posted the lyrics.
Effity off, suck my blah, blah, blah. I'm
Yeah.
going to lick blah, 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 blah. And you're like,
Shocker, no response to me posting the lyrics.
about that.
Yeah.
Let's teach your daughter how to sing it in English. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. And anybody who
It's not supposed to.
again, it's not supposed to. These are the things. This is like Somalians committing tens of billions of dollars worth of fraud in Minnesota, right? It's got to be so outrageous that you're like, I swear to God, the simulation's got to be over soon. If I'm coming out of this tunnel, is there going to be a big zipper on the horizon? And I'm just going to see it go whoop. And I'm going to be like, oh, dear God. Thank you.
I wasn't doing it, but it slowed that down.
It
please.
wasn't real. Let me tell you guys about disinfectwithsniper.com.
I couldn't even clean up that song.
Disinfectwithsniper.com. Look, Sniper does so much stuff. It's not even funny. We needed a little harmony the other day. You need a little bug, when it's freezing out and bugs decide to come in to your house. It's great to have an organic bug killer that doesn't reek and doesn't make everybody toxic. That is what you find on the website, disinfectwithsniper.com. Sniper is a hospital-grade antibacterial disinfectant, antimicrobial, fungal, all of this stuff. It is really your one spray bottle of success. Takes out germs, makes your house cleaner, healthier, etc. There's Knockout, which is a phenomenal degreaser, and it's a ridiculous deodorizer. So you have a smelly area, even if it's like cat urine or smoke or mildew, this stuff is phenomenal, right? And then the Harmony is the bug killer, but it's good for like lice, bed bugs, fleas, and ticks. It's like, blah, blah, blah. And trust me, if you've ever gone through lice with your kids, that little comb, disinfectwithsniper.com. It's much easier to spray all over it, rub it in, rinse, get rid of it. Thank you. I'll be here all day. It's a great website, disinfectwithsniper.com. I will tell you, I use that cleaver.
Did you? Did it work?
It's a freaking
I haven't used
weapon. Weapon.
Would you use it on your kids or Joe or
Chicken wings.
Oh.
Chicken wings.
You just said you used it. I didn't know.
This is one of those stories that is sure interesting.
We have cleavers. Those big cleavers you see for like butchers that they put, because Hunt Chef does those things, and he put our logo on it and gave us each one.
And they're like barbarian.
Yeah.
They're beautiful, but they would be so expensive. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. There are basic rules that you need to follow. And in your county, wherever you live, your elections officials are expected to follow those rules. There will be a warehouse somewhere in your community. It will have gobs of surveillance video. It will be under protection, right? It'll be guarded, usually around election time. But that's where they keep all of the information. They keep the ballots, counted ballots, adjudicated ballots, the machines, the tabulators, chain of custody logs, all of the jazz that is required, needed to conduct an election. And by law, your state and county election officials have to preserve those things for a period of time. Well, they did that in Fulton County, Georgia, one of the cities where they stopped counting, Atlanta area, where they stopped counting in 2020, right after the election. And then all of a sudden there was that vertical rise in Joe Biden votes because somehow hundreds of thousands of only Joe Biden voted ballots were introduced into the equation. So the FBI goes in last week. They're like, let's load them up. 700 boxes you guys are supposed to have. Here's this giant warehouse. It's wall after wall. It's just huge of boxes. FBI comes in, gets all the boxes. Well, we were supposed to have 700, but why do we only have 656 boxes? Where are the other 44? Wait, what? Well, Trump just exposed a smoking gun. Fulton, and he put a truth to it yesterday. Fulton County claimed over 700 boxes of 2020 election evidence, but the FBI raid only uncovered 656. That leaves almost 50 boxes of critical documents just vanished. Missing ballots, altered images, double scanned votes, no envelopes, destroyed proof, pristine ballots that had never been folded, right? Where are the almost 50 boxes of election documents, right? Let me see what President Trump truthed out that is missing. Ready? Missing ballot box tabulator tapes. Huh, that's a problem. Unsigned, non-certified tabulator tapes, missing ballot images, altered ballot image files, missing SHA files, whatever those are, missing memory card data, missing absentee ballot envelopes, thousands of double scanned ballots, thousands of double counted ballots, and more than 700 minus 656, almost 50 boxes of election documents that Fulton County did not provide to the FBI. Why? Now, how many of you are out there and you're just like I am and you're like, just because they store this stuff in a warehouse doesn't mean that that's the stuff that needs to be seen? Like, wouldn't your number one job, if you were a filthy scumbag who was stealing an election from the American people, committing such a traitorous act on the fellow citizenry, right? Would you, first job number one is not store all of the materials that would clearly show how fraudulent the election was in that warehouse? Like, wouldn't you go anywhere else, right? So why did we ever believe that for the last 5 years, those 700 boxes even existed there, right? It's like Hillary Clinton and her associates with the Blackberries, smashing them with hammers. What's wrong with that? Wipe it off. What? With a cloth? I mean, it's the same thing. It's Benny Thompson. What? You needed me to save all of the videos of our January 6th committee, hearings with witnesses? Oh, I didn't know that. What? You needed all of the emails too? Oh, geez. I'm sorry. I've never done this before. Come on, man. It's such an embarrassing and foolish cat and mouse. It's ridiculous. And everybody knows it. By the way, if we're going to be honest, don't just FBI roll into Fulton County, Georgia. Come into Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, my county, where we know from 2020, the election anomalies, in a small summary, that 5,419 voters were backfilled into the Shore system, that 8,395 duplicate registrations went through, that 95,695 first-time voters showed up, that 4,352 inactive voters voted, that 85 mail-in ballots were recorded but don't have any voter ID in the Shore system, that 2,072 mail-in ballots were counted that were received after November 3rd, that another 2,261 mail-in ballots were recorded that were sent from out of state, that the 13,294 registration were removed from the voter rolls between the week of elections and February 1st of 2021. Why would you take 13,000 people out of your voting rolls after those votes have been cast? Ladies and gentlemen, because you cheat. Because you cheat. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, right? I'm fired up. We'll get it together. Don't you worry about it. Quick time out. We'll be back in just a minute on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. It makes me so angry that you've got to go through this ridiculous juvenile game of telephone, right? So everything's supposed to go here, which means anybody who's supposed to do something right, who did something wrong, is not going to put it there. They're going to put it somewhere else. It's never going to exist there, right? They had ample time to go through there and pull out all of the suspicious stuff and get rid of it. Did anybody actually think that it was under lock and key and it was going to be protected? I didn't. I didn't.
Am I missing something?
What do you mean? As in 130?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it just me?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. This is why it's complicated. No, it's not there. Did I just not do it? I guess not. We better figure something out fast. Let me tell you guys quickly about the Simkovich Concussion Institute. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com, 412-366-3700. There are not many places where I would go with something as delicate as a traumatic brain injury. But you need to go to an expert, somebody who can identify concussion and TBI, because it doesn't show up on a medical exam. It doesn't show up in an X-ray or a CT or an MRI. Dr. Simkovich, 412-366-3700, it's what he does. This is his job. It is his passion, and he fixes people. And they've got this intensive protocol where they get you in for several days in a row so that they can peel back the damage and they can bring you back and heal you. And then when you're done with the protocol, you're healed. And you might want to come back in the next 6 months or a year just to make sure you're on the up and up. But you're going to feel better. You get your life back, right? You get control back. Headaches go away. Focus returns. And for our dear friend, her hand stopped shaking. Pretty important stuff. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. So what Brock and I were just identifying is that we do not have this whole half hour charted.
Maybe what I got confused is 2,
which is odd.
Is heavy.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of information.
Let me put on.
Do you think you're going to get to the bottom of 2?
Let me see.
Can you move that?
You want to do Nick Shirley there?
FBI believes this individual tampered with Nancy Guthrie's Nest doorbell camera just before Nancy was killed. Why are they just putting this out now? Wouldn't you look at the Ring doorbell first?
All right, let's do this. We will do... Yeah, that'll be 2. We'll bump up Nick here.
Boy, this guy puts on Twitter, what happened to this story? And it's about the guy who went after Omar. He's right. Where'd that story go?
That is true.
All those stories that go away. The Maryland man. Is he gone? That guy that was in charge of the protest of Colombia.
I don't know.
Is he gone? Yeah, I see they released 2 photos of people, suspects of the Nancy Guthrie, but like
Nancy Guthrie,
not Guthrie, whatever. The Ring doorbell. Don't you look at that first? Like, I don't understand this case. I don't understand how they're dealing with it or anything like that. Like, I would think you'd look at that first. Why would it take you 9 days to put out those pictures? But guess what it does? It keeps it in the news as a Fox News alert.
Who's the guy who's featured in that video that's a parody of what happens after hours at the White House with the curly hair who's drinking the pitcher of beer with Caroline Levitt on the couch? Remember what I'm talking about?
The one, the hangover knock
Oh,
thing?
yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know who that guy is. Is he just like a character from The Hangover? Because I don't recognize.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
I like when he has J.D. Vance standing next to fat J.D. Vance with curly hair. It's epic. If you guys haven't seen it, it's on my X feed. It's funny.
Well, we'll see how this goes. I just completely botched and did not plan an entire half hour of this program, just so you know. So.
I missed it too.
Huh?
I missed it too.
So I'm going to share with you a personal story about dinner tonight. Making ribs. Got 4 slabs of ribs. Got them a couple weeks ago. I was at Walmart, and look, I'm on a budget. I got 5 kids, right? Money is tight always. And so when I see ribs on sale, it says, look, you got to use or freeze by the next 2 days. I'm like, all right, that's fine. Well, I froze them, and then I took them out yesterday, and I thawed them out. And I got them out this morning, and I'm going to take them and wash them and pat them dry and figure out how I want to season them, give them some time to season. And I open up, cut open the container, the plastic wrap around it. And it just kind of hits me. There's just a smell to it that just I wasn't prepared for. But I'll be honest with you. Ever since COVID, my nose has been really weird. I smell natural gas quite commonly. I smell sulfur commonly. I smell gasoline. Like I just went to the pump and filled up my car. I smell it all the time. And so I smell this. I don't know why that is. I don't know if anybody else after COVID had just weird olfactory issues, but I guess that's my lingering side effect of having that stupid virus. Thanks, Bill Gates and freaking Fauci. Anyway, so I cut open the plastic wrap of the ribs and I'm like, this doesn't smell really good. I'm like, I think maybe I'll wash them and I'll pat them dry and we'll see if that makes it better. So I do, and it works, and I smell it, and I'm like, oh, that's better. That's just fine. So then I open up the next one. So it's 2 sleeves of 2 slabs of ribs. And I open up the next one. It's like whoosh, the smell comes out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is wrong with this? And I'm like, quick, before Joe comes downstairs, maybe I could get the ribs out into the garbage before the garbage men come. And then nobody will know. Thank God, I'm sure I've cleaned off these ribs. These will be fine. Of course, stupid, right? So I go out to the garbage can, but the garbage men have already come. So I'm like, oh crap, what am I going to do with these ribs? They reek. So Joe comes downstairs with the scrubs on. He's ready to go to the hospital. He walks in the kitchen. And he goes, oh, dear God. What is that? Is that the garbage? Did you get the garbage out? And I'm like, no, it's not the garbage. What is it? I'm like, oh, that's the ribs. And he's like, 10 seconds later, my son Bobby is upstairs and he goes, what's that, Mom? Is that fish? Are you making fish? And I'm like, no. Fish, it's rotten ribs, okay, damn it, and I'm throwing them out, so stop it. So I'm totally busted. So I'm like, dang it, I'm trying to salvage a meal, but the meat is obviously horrible. So I go out and I put the slabs of ribs into the garbage bag, but the garbage men have already come, so now we have to figure out what are we going to do with the garbage bag. So Joe comes outside. I need him to move his Jeep so I can put the garbage can back and then just leave the bag there until I bribe Jack or one of my other kids to go get rid of it somewhere because it's terrible. And so Joe looks outside. He sees me putting in the garbage can and he goes, why do men do this, Brock? I don't understand what it is about you guys. So my husband of 7 years, is it 28? I forget. My husband says to me, you didn't put that garbage bag in your car, did you? Why do men do that? Why would I have put it in my car? He's like, you're not taking it. You're going to take it with you, aren't you? Didn't just put it in your car, did you? I'm like, why would I put rotten meat in a bag in my car? Brock, why do you people do that?
First off, please don't use you people. And second, I don't know what he's talking about. I kind of agree. I kind of agree with you. Why would you put it if it stinks that bad? Why would I put it in your car?
You wouldn't, master of the obvious. This is what men do to their wives. I'm just gonna tell you, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
I tried.
Are we opening up a can of something?
Look, I was desperate to pawn off dinner on somebody. I'd spend good earned money for those ribs.
Well, you can pawn it off on Stinkies now.
They were well. We're gonna go out to eat, and so that's what's gonna happen. Look, they're trying to tell you on this platter, look, we have these beautiful succulent ribs. We slow cooked them all day long and put sauce all over them. Aren't they? Ladies and gentlemen, they're spoiled, right? And everybody and his brother can see that and smell that. Look, this is not complicated. Every single thing that we are approaching right now or talking about is a diversion from something else. One of the biggest is the fraud and the abuse of the taxpayer dollars for welfare programs. Nick Shirley, right? Did you guys see how this guy is getting dragged in the news? He's getting dragged for going to California. He's being dragged for causing chaos in Minneapolis because he's the one who exposed the grift that has cost the American taxpayer arguably tens of billions of dollars. But see, leftists, much like I was unwilling to admit that my dinner was ruined, leftists won't admit to you it's going on. It's going on, and we need it to continue going on. And we're going to go after anybody who threatens our ability to make easy money because we've got nothing else. We have no other plan. We have no candidate. We have no message. We have no money. All we have is this to protect ourselves. We have our positions of power. And as long as we can make some semblance of revenue, we're going to continue doing it. So knives are out for Nick Shirley. Well, he travels to San Diego and he's sniffing around in California because we know from Dr. Oz that the fraud there is outrageous and probably makes Minneapolis look like child's play. But this is one of those moments where we need to see what the Democrats are doing to their fellow Americans. We have a president who wants to stop drugs from coming into this country. So he blew up the drug boats. He said, stop bringing them in. And Democrats howled. What about the rights of those people on those boats? Well, their rights kind of fly away when they're bringing cocaine and other products meant to kill our people. Donald Trump closed the border. He's very serious about the drug dealing. He talked to the president of Mexico. He talked to the prime minister of Canada. Stop the products. He had Kash Patel and Marco Rubio talking to the Chinese counterparts, saying no more of the derivatives that come in those drugs. Stop the drugs. That's Donald Trump. Democrats need you addicted. And on the streets of Southern California, Nick Shirley, a young man, right, sees what looks like a dead man on the sidewalk. And he's with someone from the community who's familiar with the overdose deaths and whatnot, and he's familiar with the use of Narcan. And I want you to hear this wild exchange because this is the Democrats' America, where you need to be quote unquote helped. So they give you drugs, you use the drugs, overdose, then they provide you the Narcan to bring you back to life and then give you, as you recover, clean needles and clean supplies so you can shoot up again. Make it make sense. Here's Nick Shirley.
This guy is clearly, he's passed out right now. How do we know that he is still alive and that he doesn't need Narcan right now?
He's breathing. You see his chest rising and it's going up and down and his color's good. Now, if he's blue, he's not responsive, his color's gone, he'd be like a blue, gray, purple color, then you know he's overdosing.
Okay.
So the most important thing is to hit him with Narcan. Doesn't matter how much Narcan you give him, You know, if you got 3 in here, give him all 3 and rescue breaths.
Okay, so what's in here? What's inside this bag?
Okay, so
this Narcan you inject into their nose and it brings them back to life.
Yes, sir, yeah.
While I was talking to the guy about Narcan, my friend Tommy was also talking to another guy in the cart about some other things, and I think you guys are all going to find this very strange what he'd received from the people on the cart.
We were talking to the people over there in the van, and they're giving out free stuff. They're giving out the Narcan to save people, and then they're also giving out needles. And what's their... Like, what's the idea of giving out needles and the rubber bands?
This is so they could do the drugs, like, without worrying about disease, so everyone gets a clean needle.
That's like, how many needles inside there? There's
27, 10 of them.
There's 10 needles inside of this bag right here.
You get everything, the whole kit. You get the rubber band, you get the alcohol, you get the cotton swabs, but then this is what you actually put it in here and heat this up, and then they give you filtered water.
So they are literally they are literally giving the people here on the street what they need to keep doing drugs.
And it's funny because if you notice, like in your hand, you have the Narcan one, right? So they're giving you the drugs, the stuff to do the drugs, right? This, glass pipes, and then they're giving you the stuff to save your life, so you don't die, and then they give it to you every day. And look, I'm not even homeless. I just went up to the guy and said, hey, can I get a Narcan bag and can I get a drug bag? And the guy said, yeah, no questions asked, no, hey, don't do this, or can we get you some help? No, they're just offering you the drug bags to do the drugs. They're not offering you any kind of help or assistance or any kind of detoxing. They're just giving you the materials.
They're giving you the drugs
to do the drugs.
They're giving you the stuff you need to do the drugs, and they're giving you the stuff that you need to revive your life after you do the drugs.
Think about how much money this costs for these packs to be given out daily to so many people, when that money could be going to other programs to help them. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, here, kill yourself, save yourself, kill yourself, save yourself. It's a cycle, and it's not fair to them. You know what I mean?
And it's not fair to them. Now, look, I believe that we all have responsibility. George Floyd has to take responsibility for the millions of decisions he made that led to his own death that day. The same way you have to take responsibility for some things that happen to you, most things, right? You get addicted because of choices you make. But what a sad statement. They need you to be sick because they need to come in with the program to save you. And the program isn't about you. They don't care about you, because if you died on the street, so biggie, right? They just need the cycle to continue. Money for the drugs, money for the Narcan, money for the needles, money for the rehab, money for the counselors, money for all of it. That's not humane. That's not compassionate. If this country wanted to fix the homeless problem or the drug problem, we could fix it. This is America. If we wanted to get people off the streets and we wanted to be serious about wellness, we could do it. The same way I believe if we were serious about fighting disease, we would know years ago the cure for cancer. The fact is, they keep inventing stuff to keep you sick. Because without you sick, right, there's no way to grift. Nick Shirley, knives out for that young man. I got to read you a couple of these headlines. Nobody's like Nick Shirley exposing the terrible scourge of the cycle of addiction and how people in California are making it happen. Oh, no. That's not how they covered it in California. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. It's the same argument with the whole Bad Bunny thing. Oh, my daughters, they loved it. They loved shaking their ass to it. And you're like, do you know what was going on now? No, I don't, but I know it makes me feel like a really good person when I tell you I felt included. It was a feeling of community, and I felt culture. And you're like, really? What about the drugs and the people there? Well, people need help.
You know what the Nick Shirley thing reminded me of? COVID. Here's the disease. Take this vaccine.
Do you guys
and then take it again and again?
And tell me where the rationale was to get all of your PPE, your test kits, your masks that were idiotic from the beginning. Why would you ever outsource that stuff to China? So, wait a minute. You're going to get us sick, and then you're going to sell us all of the stuff we need for this dog and pony theatrical production of don't get the virus, right? And who's there all the way? Bill Gates cashing in on his stock sale of Moderna.
No, created more what? Billionaires?
I want to tell you about Texas Bullion Exchange, WendyLovesGold.com. These are my people, very much like WendyLovesGold.com. This is a great time, and everybody who's talking about this, I was listening to Bill Hemmer this morning. He's talking about the stock market, and he was like, look, 50,000 plus. This is a time for everybody to get skin in the game, to go for the long ride, to not invest in the stock market, just hoping, but realizing you got to weather the storm. There's going to be ups and downs and ins and outs. And the longer that you could ride it out, the more likely you are to have fantastic returns at the end. And I agreed with him. And I feel the same way about precious metals. Like if you haven't yet cracked that door into that realm for yourself, I really think that you're gypping yourself of something that's extraordinarily helpful in your planning for retirement. 855-927-5557, 855-927-5557. The number of unique things that you can buy from places all over the world with historic significance, very low mintage, extraordinarily low collector's items, like low number collector's items. So much that you can create with a precious metals portfolio from WendyLovesGold.com. I think you're going to really like these guys. I would say just call them, 855-927-5557. And if, you need to get some documents in order, you'll at least know, and then you'll be able to make the right decisions for you and your family. I think they're wonderful. I trust them. I trust them implicitly. I've had great experiences with my stuff with them.
The first dinner, I was glad I wasn't invited to. Bad ribs.
It was just so funny because everybody knew it except me. I knew it, but I didn't want to admit it. I was like, I could save this meal. And then everybody, of course, I really couldn't tell. The second set of ribs, I could tell. It was like,
someone could stop and go get ribs, Jack or Joe.
Yes.
After work, you could go get fresh ribs.
I don't think anybody gives a rip about the ribs. I just had it in my mind that it was going to be for dinner, and we're trying to eat everything out of the freezer. So some things just need to be dumped out of the freezer, apparently. And when Joe walked in, dear God, what is that? I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry. It's ridiculous.
I'd just like to point out I was not invited to that dinner also.
You weren't. I love Joe though. Captain Obvious, Dr. Obvious.
You should have been.
You didn't put that bag
you should
in your
have
car,
snapped
did
back
you?
with.
And I'm like,
you should have snapped back with. No, I didn't leave milk in my car.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. Brock, you're a devil. You are a devious man.
No, it's something about having a memory and being quick on your feet.
So
I would have been quicker on my feet than you were.
So I was mentioning that Captain Obvious, my husband Joe, who's the greatest guy. I love him to death. But sometimes he just says the dumbest things. And I'm like, do you really think I'm that stupid? Like literally, I've given you 5 children that we've managed to raise into very good young men. I have all of the passwords. I manage everything financial for us. Do you realize that I am the linchpin of your entire identity? Just so you know. And then he's like, you're not going to put that bag of spoiled meat in your car, are you? And I'm like, really? Why would I do that? Right? Well, Brock brings up a really excellent point that Captain Obvious forgets.
You should have just told him, if you're a listener to the show, Joe has left milk in his car and had to cut out his carpet because it went bad. It had maggots. I'd have been like, no. I'm not going to put the bad milk in my car and leave it there so I get maggots.
No, so he forgets. Like he has a Jeep Wrangler, right? So he's driving around. He's got the roof, the sides
in the
off
summertime.
And everything in the summertime. And he's driving out. And he's like, I'll go do the grocery shopping this time. I'm like, excellent. I've got work to do. So he comes home.
Where's the milk?
And he doesn't realize the milk has slid underneath the seat. So he doesn't realize until the milk explodes in his car and it's curdled and it smells like death. I can tell you that bad ribs don't hold a candle to spoiled milk. And then Unbeknownst to him, of course, as he tried to sop up said milk that smelled like death, he didn't get it all because there's a nice foam pad underneath the carpet that absorbed all of the rotten milk. And then we had a bumper crop of maggots, which was really great. So no, honey, I didn't put the spoiled ribs in a bag in my car and leave them there.
I remember I showed up at your house for something.
It was awful.
And he was outside cleaning the Jeep.
He cut.
Pissed. Listen, he was heated. And like, it was one of those things where you show up and somebody just kind of had a butting of the heads. You ever showed up to, someone was fighting and you're just like,
there's something wrong in the force.
And I'm like, how's it going, Joe? He's like, I can't get the maggot smell out of my car.
And he's cutting out the carpet and that foam like pad. And I was like, oh.
And my comment was, why didn't you just hit it with sniper and knockout?
I wouldn't have done it. I'm sorry. It was so bad. Anyway, I just had to get that out. Sweetheart, love you to death, but really? Okay. So anyway, before the break, we were talking about this just jaw-dropping, this homeless and drug-addicted industrial complex. And they let it happen. These blue cities and blue states let it happen. And they pretend that they're being compassionate by handing out Narcan to revive people who've overdosed, while then simultaneously putting in their other hand a safe syringe kit full of all of the things, including water that they need to heat up their heroin or whatever the bejeebers it. I don't know. So I want to read you, instead of anybody being honest about what Nick Shirley is doing. I mean, he's doing what the media long ago stopped doing. Let's identify things that aren't working. These blue cities are falling apart. And there's a reason why they're falling apart. And so he exposes it. This is a headline from the Voice of San Diego. Seriously. Talking about Nick Shirley visiting San Diego. Headline: videographer who caused chaos in Minnesota came to San Diego. What to know about what he found and didn't. Wait a minute. Before you even get started, this is like CBS's headline about Howard Lutnick. The way you say it, Howard Lutnick and Jeffrey Epstein were business partners. That's not true. They were both investors in the same company. But he didn't know the reaction, the relationship there. Videographer who caused chaos in Minnesota. Do you guys think that Nick Shirley caused chaos, or he exposed the grift that for far too many years, a lot of people, including elected officials, all the way up to the governor's mansion in the state of Minnesota, have been cashing in on? But instead of telling the truth about the brazen schemes, about the billions of dollars stolen, about the net effect on actual people who need those services, who weren't getting them because the system had been so wholly abused. And everybody knew about it. Instead of being honest, we're going to go after the guy who exposed it. We're going to expose that he's 23. He's young. He's Mormon. He lives in Idaho or wherever. We're going to mock his background. We're going to mock his faith. We're not going to talk about what he found. We're going to launch a personal attack on the human being. And this is from the party that tells you not only are they full of joy, but they're the party of inclusion and acceptance, and all are welcome here. It's the land of misfit toys. It could be anything but. I don't need to read you any of this story. All you need to know is, according to this rag, the Voice of San Diego, whose education writer wrote this story, came up with a headline: videographer who caused chaos in Minnesota came to San Diego. It's almost like everybody who could smell the ribs. We all see what's going on. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, it's all about revenge and a grand conspiracy. Barry Loudermilk, congressman, with some information that you really, really need to hear next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
and let's be fair here before you start.
Oh my God.
We took some shots at Joe. But you ladies do the same thing. You ask obviously stupid questions where you're like, and the difference between men and women is in Joe's head, because I kind of agree with Joe. You're like, well, don't put it, because he probably meant it this way. Well, don't put it in there. Your car's going to stink before you even get to wherever you're taking it. Because that would be what I would say, right? But when women do it, you all do it to pick a fight. Something's going on inside of that crazy contraption in your head. And you're like, well, I want to talk to him about something 8 weeks ago. How can I bring it up? Let me pick a fight so he can, and then I can throw it out.
I don't think I've ever done that. Purposefully.
I was going to say, you are the only woman ever then.
No, but wow.
I was just throwing you off.
The video of me half naked, looking awful and standing on a scale, that's not live yet, is it?
I don't believe so.
Okay, good.
I can check.
No, it's good. So anyway, I told you guys about this shape scale that I did a video on with Dr. Dubiak, with Ali Dubiak at bodybyAIM360.com. And I loved it. I'm standing there on it, right? And I'm half naked. I'm almost all naked. And I'm standing there like this, and it's zooming around me. It literally is going like this, up and down my body. Isolating, here's where you have zhuzh. And I'm like, no, duh. I had 5 kids. I know where it is, right? Anyway, I was like, this is like a visual of what you do at bodybyAIM360.com. It is not just one thing. It's not just weight loss. It's weight loss plus figuring out what's going on with your hormones. It's weight loss and hormones and, testosterone and all this other stuff. It's all these things plus knowing what to eat, figuring that out, getting IVs. Literally, you think about getting an IV, you're having surgery, right? Or you have deficiencies in your blood that's identified by Dr. Dubiak and the blood test that you get. And they come up with an IV for you that's got all of your supplements that are meant to counteract the deficiencies that you have. And it goes right into your bloodstream. There's no taking a pill to have to process it by the gut. It gets right in and then you're done. And it's like a concierge business because they want to be with you throughout the entirety of the weight loss journey. And they want to be able to have you come in and step on the scale and be like, all right, so this is your body fat. How about you do our program? And then we'll do it again at the end and see how you've done. It's mind bending. BodybyAIM360.com. 412-227-9255. I knew for a while, and I think it might still be going on, that they're doing this, the Ozempic and whatnot, the shots for rapid weight loss. They're giving you, I know that it was last week, I hope it's still this week, 50% off this month of February, 50% off your first month. So $249, I think, to get on the program and to get that. It's a pretty big deal for your first month, for sure. 412-227-9255, bodybyAIM360.com.
You ladies don't have to like my commentary. It's true, though. It's true.
The only reason it doesn't resonate with me is like I don't necessarily feel like I go back in time. Like I think I'm a little bit faster at addressing things that are like ripples, problems. So I don't know what you mean about going back like 8 weeks. Like give me an example.
No.
Oh.
I'm not.
Oh.
No, I'm not setting myself up. I'm not setting myself up. That would be stupid.
Oh, God.
That would be stupid of me to say anything.
Okay.
Because
I'm not asking about for me. I'm just saying one in general, even if it's just like hogwash. I don't understand.
Anything. What guy out there hasn't had an argument and then you go your separate ways to cool off and you're like, what the hell is that all about? Every man out there.
I don't disagree with you, but I think your explanation of what women do.
You pick when women really want to talk about something, but they don't want to be naggy, or they pick a fight that means absolutely nothing to get men heated, because that's what we do. That's what we do. and then all of a sudden it turns into something else.
I don't understand that.
Totally, that has nothing to do with the fight originally was started on.
Oh, okay.
Every man out there knows exactly
Every
what
man,
I'm talking
give me a
about.
1 or a 2 if you're familiar with that. Does that make sense to you? One
If they
or 2?
put 2,
yes, one,
that's
2,
because their
no.
wife's watching with them right now, or their wife is somewhere else watching, and they're looking at them. You son of a! You better not put 2. You better not put 1.
I might have
And
to
if
have
they do
another.
put 2 and their wife sees, trust me, a fight's coming.
I'm
Put up your
sorry.
dukes.
1 or 2. Let's go. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Texas.
Thanks, boss.
Martin
the guy.
Smith.
Exactly, bro. Everybody's been there.
What?
Every guy's
Run,
been
the
there.
pod racer says
You
run.
ain't telling me any different.
Oh, Brock is 100%. Okay.
I did not throw Joe under the bus. How did I throw Joe under the bus?
Joe just accuses me, or he says dumb stuff. Like, why would I? So I'm fiddling with this before I go upstairs to take a shower and get ready for work. If it's a smelly bag of rancid meat, do you think I'm putting it in my car now to sit and fester in my car before I leave? No, of course not. But he's like, you didn't put that. And I was like, and he was like, he laughed. I'm like, either you're so dumb or you think I'm so dumb. Either way, it's a bad look. It's a bad look. But he's like the master of the obvious. You didn't do blah, 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 did you? And I'm like, why would I do blah, blah, blah? Blah, blah, blah causes, why would I do that? He's like, I'm just making sure.
See,
That's
he's
what
looking out for you.
Oh my God, that's so not looking out for me. That's being a stupid man. That's it. That's it. You know it's true.
Wow.
It's true.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Nope.
1. Wendy Bell,
crazy lady.
Mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family. She once hosted a 3-hour show in just 15 minutes. She once intimidated the Electoral College to audit itself. Her monologues are so sharp, they're considered a concealed carry weapon. Fact-checker sites routinely issue her a retraction a week in advance. Even her commercial breaks trend on social media. Her freedom of speech has diplomatic immunity. She doesn't just drain the swamp has to ask for cab fare. Wendy Bell is the most interesting conservative woman on radio. Keep rumbling, my friends. 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. Hour number 3 of the show is live. You know, and I have to say, one of the things that they don't want us talking about is the grand conspiracy of the administrations, let's just say of Clinton, Hillary Clinton, of Barack Obama, of Comey Clapper, and all of these clowns, including Schiff and Swalwell, trying to basically derail President Trump's first term while simultaneously imploding his chances to be reelected and then stealing the election, starting January 6th as a smokescreen. And then throwing the January 6ers in prison, right, as justification for their actions. And it doesn't make sense. Barry Loudermilk, of course it makes sense. We all know what's going on, right? We're not supposed to be talking about this. But the theft of an election is the biggest story in American political history. And I think we all need to remember that. The same way the scourge of human trafficking is the scourge of America right now. It's the scourge of the world, and they don't want you talking about it. So we have Epstein, this and that. We have outrage, this and that. We have, the SAFE Act, this and that. My eyes on the ball. And Barry Loudermilk, who is the chair of the House Subcommittee on Oversight investigating the January 6th Select Committee. This work ends if Republicans don't win in November. This ends. This investigation of the January 6th committee just poof, goes away. I want you to hear what Barry Loudermilk said to John Solomon of Just the News last night, talking about his investigation, showing that members of the January 6th committee were part of this Operation Arctic Frost, this idea of making Donald Trump's presidency or reelection all but impossible. And it's obvious now that some of the interviews that, let's just say, Benny Thompson and Liz Cheney and Zoe Lofgren and the others, Adam Schiff, or rather whomever else was on the committee, Adam Kinzinger, that a lot of these interviews were used and given to Jack Smith and others in their prosecution, frivolous, of President Trump. Okay? This is Representative Barry Loudermilk dropping something that I think is extraordinarily important that they do not want us talking about.
What are we to make of the Chris Wray era? What do you make of the Chris Wray era now that you've seen so much of this weaponization evidence?
Right. The Chris Wray era was totally political. It was political warfare. And one of the things I'm interested in finding out was just how broad was Operation Arctic Frost. You know, we're starting to uncover some things there. There may be some evidence out there that this extended all the way into Congress, that there was investigation and political weaponization against members of Congress that may even have ties with the Select Committee on January 6th. And so we're looking in that direction because I think there may be something to this idea that Arctic Frost expanded much further than just within the executive branch and with Donald Trump. And so this was a complete weaponization on political bias. If you can't defeat someone at the polls, if you can't defeat a Republican at the poll, then you totally destroy that individual.
Totally destroy that individual. You go after Nick Shirley, right? You don't talk about the fraud he's uncovering. You destroy Nick Shirley. You don't pay attention to what's going on. You destroy Donald Trump because Donald Trump knows what's going on and you can't risk it getting out. Barry Loudermilk continues. Look, the J6 committee shared the testimony of witnesses with Jack Smith, clearly, which is why Benny Thompson deleted over 100 encrypted files with additional unarchived material estimated at more than a terabyte, including up to 900 video interviews and summaries and transcripts. Why else would you delete all of that information? It was a witch hunt. What could we find to sink this president? Here's Barry Loudermilk, part 2.
And I guarantee you, and I can even show you evidence that this happened within the Select Committee on January 6th. Just talk to Stefan Passantino. They went to destroy this attorney who was just doing his job, but they didn't like the way he was doing it because he was trying to get to the truth. He was telling his client to tell the truth, and they literally went after him to destroy his entire life. And so this idea of weaponization spans way beyond the FBI and the DOJ and even comes in here into Congress.
It brings up this name, Stefan Passantino. So I started doing some digging, and I did not realize this. Stefan Passantino was a lawyer who offered to, and I guess was involved with Donald Trump and his administration, offered to represent Cassidy Hutchinson, the January 6th committee's star witness, the one who said she saw Donald Trump throw his dinner plate at the wall, infuriated by January 6th, that he lunged for the steering wheel in his limousine, all of this stuff. Well, Stefan Passantino, he was going to represent Cassidy Hutchinson before the January 6th committee for free, right? He was going to do it pro bono. But she fired him because he told her to tell the truth. She fired him. And then with the help of Liz Cheney, who was on the January 6th committee, got a new lawyer and presented all of a sudden, lo and behold, in that primetime special, this new and improved story about being an eyewitness to all of this wild behavior from Donald Trump that we all know. She then went back and changed by filling out 15 pages of errata sheets, 15 whole pages, changing word for word things that she testified to under oath before the committee. It was all a sham. And then this Stefan Passantino guy, knives came out for him. They tried to go after his license to practice law. They said that he tried to manipulate her and tried to get Cassidy Hutchinson to lie. He stated he represented Hutchinson, quote, honorably, ethically, and completely in line with her expressed interests. He believed she was being truthful and cooperative throughout the interviews. Somebody got to freaking Cassidy Hutchinson and made her an offer she couldn't refuse. She dropped the lawyer, chose somebody else, lied before the cameras, created the fake narrative, the headline. And then when nobody was paying attention, went back and changed her testimony, and then was given a New York Times best-selling book deal. Anybody else think this is odd? Look, Operation Arctic Frost was a federal investigation launched in April of 2022 by Chris Wray and the FBI, the DOJ Inspector General, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, and the National Archives into President Trump's efforts to, quote unquote, overturn the 2020 election results. Ladies and gentlemen, he wasn't trying to overturn them. He was trying to get the truth out. He wanted you to understand that in Maricopa County in Arizona, in Allegheny County in Pennsylvania, and in Fulton County in Georgia, strangely, at the same time, all of the election votings or the tallies, the counting of the votes, stopped. And it stopped for a period of time. And when it started again, within minutes of each other, there was an infusion of millions and millions of votes for the one candidate who never campaigned. The one candidate nobody ever spoke of. I never saw a Biden-Harris bumper sticker anywhere, did you? Did you see people walking around your neighborhood super excited wearing a Vote Biden-Harris shirt? You didn't, because it didn't exist. And Operation Arctic Frost is this ridiculous example of weaponization and a cover-up of the theft of an election. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Wray, as FBI director, was pure political weaponization and revenge. And you know who recommended Chris Wray to Donald Trump in his first term to be the FBI director? Brock, do you know?
I believe it was Chris Christie.
Chris Christie. How many of these people secretly wanted to be the one on stage? They secretly wanted to be able to walk on stage somewhere in the middle of nowhere at a makeshift rally and attract hundreds of thousands of people from around the country. They wanted to be the person who, when they walked into a room, the oxygen got sucked out of it. But they weren't. It was Donald Trump. And so through everything possible, they went after him. Why don't they want you talking about that? Why don't they want you to know that there were 700 boxes of Fulton County ballots, but they only handed over 656? Why not 700? Well, it's sort of like the spoiled ribs. You can put them on a platter and make them look pretty, but they taste like garbage. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, right? It's not complicated. We'll tie this up in a bow before our final segment, ladies and gentlemen, which is quite important. Calling out the fake news, and here CBS wonders why its ratings have totally crashed. Next. I'm all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. I have another story that I could absolutely destroy Joe with.
I still think, you know what?
But not in a mean way, in a funny way.
I think what I need to do is do a once a week relationship show. And you and your significant other can send in your fight and I will mediate it.
You will.
And I will come to a solution.
You will come to it.
Yes. And I will explain it. And it'll be like Judge Judy, but me sitting there telling you, your husband, he was an idiot for even going along with it, and that the woman is wrong.
Wow. Or
right, maybe. I think once a week you can email me your questions. I will solve your relationship. Dr. Brock. Everyone can call themselves doctor now. First one, if she ever says, does this make my ass look big? There is no answer to that.
So our friends, help me find a bottom here, please. So our friends at Blood Flow 7 have an option for you that is different than shots, which I find very alluring. It's called GLP-1 Gold. And the thing that's nice about GLP-1 Gold, other than it's not a shot, is that it actually activates the hormone inside of your body, the GLP-1, which tells your brain that you need to stop eating because you're done, you're full, and naturally over time, that kind of dissipates on us, which is why kind of over time, you get a little bit squishier and a little bit bigger. Most people at 75 look a lot different than they did at 45. There's a lot of reasons for that, but one of them is the hormone GLP-1 isn't firing, and so that message isn't getting sent. That's what this product from bloodflow7.com/Wendy does. It helps build that back up naturally, right? That's why I love Blood Flow 7. They come up with ways, healthy ways, using natural products and other things that are not pharma products, that are not addictive, right? They don't involve a prescription pad for you to gain control of your health and your weight, right? So 30% off, Wendy 30. If you're interested in trying these products, I think it's a great suggestion. Anything that gets your body to do things that it doesn't normally do or that it once did, I'm all about. That's this. GLP-1 Gold is what it's called. A lot of people just need a little help, a little reprogram, a little like zzz, clear. Zzz. That's what this does. Gets your body dropping the weight again. Oh my. You're sharing with me all sorts of stuff. What all did you send me?
I sent you the New York City fraud.
I did forget about that. Where are they actually making money or doing things that's good? Like, are there actual patients out there having their needs met? Because it seems like everything else is a scam. This story Brock and I were talking about today from the New York Post on New York, like medical transport. So people who need to be taken to this appointment or that appointment. And the grift there, it's just, right? Knives out for the people. Do you really want to get into Nicki Minaj?
Nah, just throwing things out there.
Problem with fraud is that there's always a victim. There's a victim that they use that they say they're going to help. There's always a problem. You need a problem. You have to have somebody who's suffering from something so you can come in with a plan. And you come in on your white horse waving that flag and you're like, you know what? I can fix this. Here's what we're going to do. We've got this problem, this victim who's suffering from something, and this is how we're going to solve it. We're going to put all this money into this service that we need, and we'll fix the problem. Well, the thing is, of course, is that all of that's bogus. That's the grift. Meanwhile, there really are victims out there, people who need help, and these programs steal from them, right? They steal from them. Like, why are we spending millions and millions of dollars in these blue hellscapes, creating Narcan survival kits, while in the same transaction, spending millions and millions of dollars on kits for safe injection? Like, this doesn't add up to me unless you need everybody walking around like it's the zombie drug apocalypse, which I think they do. New York Medicaid transport plagued by fraud, with drivers scamming up to $196 million. This is the New York Post. So Nick Shirley is the tip of the iceberg. He merely exposed it. Nick Shirley is his own version of President Trump. President Trump isn't the problem. President Trump exposes the problem, and then he exposes the players who've made the problem so prolific and profitable. New York drivers are accused of bilking up to $196 million from a badly managed Medicaid transportation program. What percentage do you guys think that we spend on these services so that people who need help can get the help they need? How much of it do you think is stolen? 50%? Minimum? I would say so. A federal audit by the Department of Health and Human Services found the shocking amount had been paid to transport companies enrolled in the non-emergency medical transportation program, but rides did not meet or may not have met Medicaid requirements. What do you mean by that? May not have met Medicaid requirements. Were they too far away? Was the distance too great? No, it's far darker than that. The 2022 report, okay? It's 4 years old. Claimed that almost half of $445 million in taxpayer money paid out in 2018 and 2019. So 7 years ago, 9 years ago, in New York City was mismanaged. You knew 4 years ago that almost $500 million in taxpayer money paid out in 2018 and 2019 was mismanaged, almost half of it. This included rides that were not properly documented, drivers who were not properly licensed. Wait, what? What do you mean? Were they licensed at all? Like, when you put an elderly loved one in an access car or some kind of medical transport, don't you think that the driver is licensed? At a freaking minimum? Yeah, well, about that. I mean, we were busy. We couldn't do everything. The federal government demanded New York State immediately pay back $84 million of the money and put a further $112 million under review. In one shocking example, the owner and two employees of Queens-based Purple Heart Transportation were indicted by the state attorney general for allegedly stealing $19 million in a scheme that involved paying weekly cash kickbacks to patients who lent their IDs to use for Medicaid billing. Brock, isn't this sort of like what was going on in Boston, where you had those guys who were getting people's EBT cards and they were giving them like 80% of the value of the cards? Isn't that what sort of it's like?
Yeah, and this has been going on since they actually handed out the food stamps, where people would come in. I used to bartend at a bar where people come in and they'd sell them for 50 cents on the dollar.
Seriously?
Yes. Yeah.
And that was when?
That was 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
My, we've graduated.
Yeah, well, now they don't have they just give you a card.
Now they just give you a card and yes.
But still, what they do with the card sometimes is you go with them and you get what you want and then you give them the cash.
Huh. I'm clearly not nefarious enough. Purple Heart claimed to rack up 1,000 miles a day on New York's crowded streets. They then allegedly funneled the proceeds overseas, what? Through shell companies, according to the Attorney General. All it took was one person to be like, wait, that doesn't make sense. Like how you watch that halftime show and you're like, well, wait a minute. That's odd. That doesn't seem American. That doesn't seem wholesome. I don't normally see dudes grinding together in my wholesome halftime show, but you know what? They expect all of us to be blinded by the smoke, right? So when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, we are going to call out the fake news. CBS gets torched for lying about the percentage of illegal aliens that ICE is arresting who have robust criminal records. Oops. Maybe this is why your ratings suck. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
I found a co-host for my new show.
You did?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
They don't know it. He doesn't know it yet. But Jim Z. Ride has the correct response.
You mean Jim's Ride?
Sure. Brock, I will pass because my wife knows where I sleep.
Ah.
You're already ahead of the game. You should be giving advice. You already know the game.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about.
What do you,
Look,
the
I
new
do.
show I'm starting giving relationship advice.
Look, I don't believe I'm a manipulator.
I'm not saying.
So
What? Boy, you're awfully defensive about this.
I'm asking for edification, which you seem incapable of verbalizing. Because
Give me a scenario.
Oh, I've got to give you a scenario.
Well, how am I just supposed
You're the
to
one
know?
who vociferously stated that you could consult anybody over how women are
Give me a
manipulated.
scenario.
Well, like what would be something that you'd fight over that would drudge up something from the past you wanted really to talk about? How does that work?
See, that's the thing with women. It doesn't matter.
Oh.
Any fight can lead to anything.
That's plausible deniability.
No,
You're
you
arguing
just go in
circles.
knowing something's getting brought up.
So
you're like, where the hell did that come from?
No.
Yeah, that's how it works.
No.
Everything is game.
Thanks, Rowie. Thanks. Or
Hey, by the way, there was a lot of ones on there. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I can't give you a specific because it could be about one thing, but really it's not about that. It's about something completely different. And you'll get there eventually if you keep responding. Just saying.
I will say this. I'm just going to say this. How many women out there feel like their husbands just say stupid stuff to them, like masters of the obvious? Master to the point where it's like, seriously, like I would get it if we're dating, if you don't have a vibe on me, you haven't really felt out who I am and how I think, right? However, I've spent years of my life with this man.
He was asking for edification.
No,
Did
he
you
wasn't.
put that in your car?
Who would put a bag of rotting meat in their car an hour before they went to work, Brock?
Maybe that's what he was wondering. No, she wouldn't do that.
No,
I'm going
she
to ask for
wouldn't.
education. Wendy, you didn't put that in your car,
Seriously,
did you?
that's what you're going to do. I will punch you, throat punch you. Do not take his side. How dare you assume that? Wow. I'm trying to turn this around.
Right? Wow. There, you just saw, guys.
I just don't understand why men do that. Like, I'm not a
Men are like dogs.
I don't
We live in the moment. The moment right there struck him to say, did I just see her put that garbage in the car?
That is a true statement.
Yeah.
Men are like dogs.
We are. We don't remember 6 years ago. That's why half the fights you have, you're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I didn't care 6 years ago, let alone 6 minutes ago. Like, men don't live like that. We just don't. And women
Okay,
do.
no. So here's the thing.
And by the time they bring it up, the problem would have been this, but now it's this.
Wait a minute. My head hurts from this. my head hurts from this. So here's the problem that we have. Things get brought up from the past because behaviors aren't changed. So when I say, it kind of bothers me when you do that, maybe you could knock it off, right? And I said that 6 years ago, and then I said it 5 years ago, and then 4 years, and nothing changes. I'm just like, what do I have to do to help with that? How do we do that? Why don't you change? I'm not saying like anything monster, but I don't like that you do that. Why do you do that? Why do you do that? He can't help himself. Can't help himself. But I'm supposed to be okay with that.
Men.
So when he's like, you didn't put that in your car, did you? I'm like, I should respond as, no, silly. That would be funny because it would make my car stink. How does one respond to that, Brock? What should I have said?
Nothing.
If men live in the moment, how should I respond?
You
to
should be like,
living in the
no,
moment?
I didn't put it in my car. I put it out in the garage. Oh, okay, good.
That's how you see the remedy as being.
Yeah. If you said no, I'd put it in the car.
Any
I
woman
didn't
out
put it in the
there
car, I just
understand
put it
my
in the garage.
conundrum? Any woman out there? Because if it's not this, it's something else, right?
Exactly.
You didn't put that electric device in the dish.
This, it's
you didn't. No. I understand lesbians. I understand it. I get it.
Oh, because that's
makes it
got to
all
be
better.
They're both remembering shit from 8 years ago and yelling at each other. Yeah. You remember when?
Oh my God.
I do.
I just look like a horse face. Somebody has to screen grab that and put it out because I look like a total
I'm just saying.
I just look like Alexandria Ocasio crazy. Oh my gosh, that was funny.
Men can't win.
That's not
A
true.
one.
That's not true.
That might be the
Okay, I got to get into this. I have to say this. Okay, so we're having a fight. Brock and I are having an argument as men and women off camera during the commercial breaks, which is
And
why-
let me be
Wow.
brutally clear. I can say this because I know my wife is not listening.
What? Men can't win? What?
Men can't win.
Okay. All right. I understand why you say that, but we find you extraordinarily maddening. Okay. Anywho, let me just say this. So I live with an engineer. All right. I live with the mind of an engineer. I do not have an engineer's mind. I have a dreamer's mind. I'm out floating in the weeds somewhere, dancing, collecting butterflies, whatever I'm doing. Joe is a scientist, right? He is pure engineer, pure science. There's a problem. There's a way to fix the problem. And his problem happens to be about hearts. So he's a cardiologist and he addresses things in very clinical, logical, structural ways. Totally get it, right? So when you come home to your family of 5 kids, right? 5 boys. Let me just say, when you have 5 personalities and you as well, if you have even 2 kids, you know the differences. They are all in their own ways, disorganized, upside down and inside out in some capacity. Joe always says to them when they're looking for something like, I can't find this or I can't find. Well, if you put, and it's always the same line. What is it, Brock? What's the line that a father would say to his children who regularly misplace things that they need? If you do what, this doesn't happen.
If you put it in the same spot every time, you'll know exactly where it is.
Thank you very much. That is exactly what he says.
And very logical.
Very logical. Absolutely right. So, ... So,
what didn't he put in the same
On
spot? Because here it comes.
on Saturday, I
so this happened.
watched my husband lose his ever-loving mind because he couldn't find his keys.
Now, did you laugh like that while he was looking for them?
No,
Liar.
I watched the process. So the way you get into our house through the garage, you walk through a door into another door, and right there on the right-hand side, like as you walk into the kitchen, is a little cute thing of hooks, and everybody's got a hook. I've got the first hook. Joe has the second hook. Before the kids have the third hook, there's 5 hooks. Okay. Joe's like, "Where's my keys?" I'm like, "I don't know." No. He said, "Wendy, did you do something with my keys?" And I said, "No, I did not do anything with your keys." And he then did this whole job and then went upstairs, took off his shoes, walked upstairs. I could hear him milling around. Couldn't find his keys. Came back downstairs, went through every single thing in the world. I'm talking hours of this, ladies and gentlemen. Meantime, my son Jack is sitting in the living room watching football or whatever he's watching. And I'm sitting at the computer watching my husband lose his mind. Because remember, if you always put things in the same place, you never lose them. So then Jack is watching and he goes, "Hey, Ma," as Joe's upstairs. He's like, "I thought if you put things the same place all the time, you never lose them." I'm like, "I know, honey, right?" Ryan calls me, my son in college. "Hey, Mom, how you doing?" I'm like, "I'm doing great, but Dad's losing his ever-loving mind." And Ryan's like, "Why? What's going on, Mom?" And I'm like, "Well, Dad can't find his keys." And Ryan goes without a beat, "I thought if you put them the same place all the time, you'd never lose them." Oh my God.
Are they their mother's children?
Unbelievable. Still can't find the keys.
Now,
Brock, he tore everything apart. I'm like, wait a minute. You literally pulled into the garage, closed the garage, and then came in the house. And where did you put your keys after that? He's like, "I always put them on the key. Somebody had to take them."
Now, okay, I'm going to defend them.
Okay.
In fairness to Joe.
Yes.
One day we were walking in from the parking lot and someone had to make a phone call and it wasn't me. And there's only 2 of us walking in. And I believe the phone call was, "Oh my gosh.
I did.
I got to call Joe.
I did.
Joe, I took your key."
I did. I mistakenly grabbed a handful of keys. That is correct.
So that's a legit question from Joe.
It is a legit question. However, when you are so rigid in your paradigm and you bark at other people that if you only were a little bit more like I am, if you were only a little bit more engineerish, then you wouldn't lose your wallet or you wouldn't lose your whatever. And he's correct. He's correct. But am I not able to sit back and enjoy just for a minute the abject meltdown of my husband who lost his keys because he loses nothing ever? Everything's always in its place. Everything's totally perfect. Joe handles Joe fabulously.
Have we found the keys?
We have not found the keys.
See, that's the evil laugh, though.
We've all heard him preach and bitch at us and browbeat. You know, it's the same words all the time. And of course, none of us said to Joe, "Well, Dad, I thought that if you put your things in the same place all the time, you never lose them."
You want to know why?
I'm so pissed. Why?
Because they're also men. And they know not to pick the fight. And they know they're like, "I'm going to say this behind his back and I'm going to say it quietly to Mom because I know she'll get a kick out of it." But they won't bring it up to him because they know.
Look, I feel for him. I hate that thought. And I've lost keys and I've lost stuff before. And it's a terrible feeling. However, when you finger wag everybody and his brother, when the boomerang comes back and hits you in the beezer, don't expect everybody to drop everything they're doing to help you pat down your coats. I mean, he was frantic, taking things out of shelves. I'm like, wait a minute. You literally walked 30 feet into the house. You didn't go through the garbage can, so why are you searching the garbage for your keys? I'm sorry. It's terrible. I'm terrible. I'm having a power surge. On to what I wanted to originally talk about.
I truly feel sorry for Joe.
Oh, stop. Stop. He is very fortunate, as am I. Okay.
That his whole family makes fun of him?
No. It's out of love.
Bad Joke Friday is exactly that, or Friday.
I'm so long in this. Okay, look, the ridiculous stories that ICE officials are out there and they're strong-arming people and they're randomly shooting everybody and they're willy-nilly and indiscriminate and untrained and ill-prepared is such hocus pocus. And it's so lame, okay? I want to read you. This is a headline. There was a headline that CBS News posted. And it said less than 14% of those arrested by ICE in Trump's first year back in office had violent criminal records, documents show. Less than 14%. That's a terrible number. That's a terrible headline. It creates the story in your mind that what ICE is doing isn't actually targeting the dangerous criminals that we keep hearing they are. So without missing a beat, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, their Twitter page, writes a correction and says, here's a more accurate headline, ABC or CBS. Nearly 70% of criminal aliens detained by ICE have pending charges or prior convictions. So-called non-violent offenders include individuals charged with drug trafficking, distribution of child pornography, burglary, fraud, DUI, embezzlement, solicitation of a minor, human smuggling, and more. Labeling these offenses non-violent does not mean they aren't threats to public safety. You're going in and you're trying to cherry pick something, to twist it around, to create a headline that you can then put out there to merchandise and say, look, the Wall Street Journal or CBS or what have you says that's not what's going on. You are being lied to about important things, and you're being lied to about stupid things. And what they don't want you to talk about is this, which I saw from Wyoming. Did you know that just hours ago, the Wyoming House just voted in favor of a bill that would impose harsher penalties for sexual crimes against children? Do you guys think that regardless of politics, regardless of your skin color, your level of education, regardless of your job, how you were raised, the amount of money in your bank account, or where you are in life, do you think it's something that we could agree on? That no child should be hurt or sexually abused? Do you think we can agree, because it's the human being right thing to do, that we should impose the strictest penalties on anyone who hurts a child, especially in a sexual way? Because I think there are some things that we should be able to cross over and say, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, that's not what happened in Wyoming. The Wyoming House just voted in favor of a bill that would impose harsher penalties for sexual crimes against children. And every single Democrat voted against it. Why? How would you defend that? How do you explain that as a Democrat? How do you defend wanting children to be sexually abused and those abusers to be able to get away with it? There's a huge disconnect. I can joke about the differences between men and women. We can. If you're in a marriage and it's been, 20, 30 years, you got a lot of jokes, you got a lot of stories. But you've survived that long because there's something that holds you together, a shared thing. This is a shared thing that shouldn't be debated. Children deserve to be children and not to be hurt. Make it make sense. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, it is the song you need to hear. I'm going to tell you, it is what I would have loved to hear at the Super Bowl at any point that day. It is the performance that I think America is hungry for, that I believe we can all get behind. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. it's wrong to take a little bit of delight in watching him panic, because there's a way in which
is his a push button start?
No, his is old school. He's got an actual key that goes into the ignition. His Jeep is a 2017. We love it because it's like the last stick shift you could buy. Now everything's pussified, you know. We have stick shift, it's paddle shifters. That's not driving a stick shift. That's not driving a manual transmission. I want to be able to downshift. I want to feel the clutch. I want to feel all of that. They don't know how to do that anymore. The wussification. Maybe it's the chickification of the world. I don't know. But anyway, let's just hope that Joe, who, by the way, turns his phone on and watches the show, he puts it in his pocket and he doesn't watch it when he's with his patients because he thinks it gives us points. Isn't that cute?
I hope he realizes I defended him.
It's cute. He's such a blockhead. God. Love him. Love him.
I'm trying to
blockhead.
think.
And I'm sure, you know what? He's got to look at me and be like, oh my God, how did I land with this one? Because I'm not science. I'm just like, sure, let's try it. It'll be great. And he's like, that was a dumb idea. I'm like, noted. I don't know. I take risks. He doesn't. Hence why I got a stupid tattoo that I hated and he didn't.
You should get him one of those things as a joke, but
for
a
real.
little air tag. Like
we have them.
We
have them upstairs for luggage.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. I think that it's gonna, I don't know where it will be, where the keys will be. Maybe in the snow or something. I don't know. It's the only thing I can think of.
Not like if he walked from his car to the...
It legit, but he doesn't remember. He doesn't remember. He thinks that what he did is what he always does. And it's to come right in and put his keys on the hook and then take off his shoes and all that stuff. I mean, he's very... Which works for him. He's an engineer.
It works for me too. I do the same thing every day.
You have an engineer mind as well, right? It is great. It's great. I just thought...
I remember to turn on the...
100% correct. 100% correct. Without that, it doesn't work, right? I mean, when Joe and I put together like projects for home improvements, I'm always like, ooh, I love the sculpting of the blah, blah, blah. And Joe's like, show me how it works. I'm all about the form and he's about the function, right?
That might be the best way to sum up men and women.
He's always said that. That's his. I can't take credit for that. I'd love to. But yeah, he's like, you're all about the form, how it looks. And, oh, I like the architectural blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, because
he's like, does it function? Is it worthwhile? And I'm like, you're such a spoil sport. But you have to have that. You have to have that or things don't work out. You just have to have a little bit of grace.
Who isn't going to tune into the...
What?
The relationship show.
Right.
Dr. Brock, I'm listening.
You could do like Delilah.
Like Frasier.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Yeah. I can see it. I'll be your Roz. We'll switch roles for that. I'll take the calls and push them in towards you. Right? Well, thank goodness I didn't block an entire half hour of the show. I wouldn't have been able to get the stinky ribs and the lost keys out. Poor Joe. Poor Joe. I wasn't expecting for this to fall into the realm of relationship talk and the difference between men and women on this program. But there are so many differences, and it's remarkable that for millennia, we've managed to work together. We've managed to get together and work through differences and have children and raise these families and manage to do it without killing each other, right? It's truly amazing. I don't remember when this whole situation in Washington, D.C. became so dirty and so dark long before I started paying attention, to be honest, around COVID. I've told you my awakening is late. There are those of you out there who've been onto the fraud and onto the nonsense and the remarkable money that these people are able to make while they allegedly represent us in Congress. You guys have been on it for years, longer than I. No matter where you are in that spectrum, though, the minute you realize it, the minute you see it, and I'll never forget it. I tell you every single time it hits. Being at an old radio station on the 3rd floor, looking out during COVID on Palm Sunday. And this building was part of a big industrial complex, all sorts of different buildings. We were building 5, I think, whatever it was. There was nobody else on this Sunday. No parking spaces were filled. And there goes a man and a woman walking their dogs, wearing masks, holding hands. And I looked at Brock and he looked at me and I was like, make that make sense. You're wearing masks outside where nobody is, in the sunshine, walking your dogs, holding hands. Okay. Wherever you are in your journey, once you start to see it and snap out of this slumber, you never want to go back. That said, this is truly one of the most beautiful renditions of the national anthem I've ever heard. So this was Chris Stapleton, Super Bowl 57 at State Farm Stadium in Arizona. It was Chiefs versus Eagles. It's a guy, it's his guitar, and it's something special. This, Roger Goodell, is what America wants. I love that. And the thing that is hilarious about that ending, what a beautiful rendition. I'm watching the live video stream on Rumble, seeing how many of you were here watching that who tuned out. We lost 20 people. That's it in that last segment, listening to that song. Everybody pays attention to that. What did they show at the end of that? The all-female flyover, Brock. Did you see it?
I saw it.
The wokeness. Man, it ain't complicated, guys. We like good people. We love our families, and we honor our flag. Period. Now, you want to give me that for a halftime show? I guarantee you, ratings through the roof. Thanks for being a part of the Wendy Bell radio program. I'll get it tomorrow. I'll get it back. Talk to you then. Peace.